This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
All right, thank you everyone for attending. I'd like to call to order the Park and Rec Commission meeting for December 16th. I got the date right. That's one. So first order of business, I'd like to review and approve minutes. I'll start with the October 23rd. Any adjustments to those minutes? Anybody have any? Can I hear a motion to approve? Motion, I have a motion. Desiree, for a second. Carolyn, all those in favor? And I have two abstentions because Brian, Brian and Joshua were not there, so they're abstentions. Eric? Yeah, Eric?
I'm going to abstain as well, actually.
Okay. 3 abstentions. All righty. Now I'd like to look at the Park and Rec meetings from November 8th. The walking, checking out the pavilions or the dog park area. Any adjustments, recommendations for those minutes? Do I have a motion?
Motion.
The motion does right. And a second, Brian. All in favor? Aye. Eric?
Aye. Andy, just as one like tiny nitpick, just for all the minutes, Bill Cannon's name is spelled C-A-N-O-N. That's all. I don't mean to be a stickler about that, but just so it's corrected in all of them.
Autocorrect. What is it supposed to be?
One in, not two.
C-A-N-O-N. Sorry, I know it's no big deal, but
No, I appreciate the details. Really autocorrect. He appreciates it too.
it's the old librarian in me, you know. So
I have one abstention. Carolyn's abstention, sorry for that. November 8th, also she was not present. And then finally,
Is Joshua online?
Jishva's not here.
So she's not abstaining on the motion for the approval.
She's not here.
She just wasn't.
She's not here. Yeah, I had her. Yeah, you're right. She's not abstaining. She actually isn't here. Correct. You are correct. So she would also not be part of that. November 8th, we have everyone except Carolyn on that. And then finally, the minutes from December 2nd. Any adjustments? The only thing I would say would be the first letter. The letter was actually submitted to Omar, not from the letter I read for that.
Okay.
So that would be the only adjustment that I would see. So any other adjustments to the minutes? Okay, can I get a motion also for that one? Carolyn's got the motion. I have a second. Sam? I have a busy one. You have a busy one, all right. Desiree's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, and since we were all there.
Aye.
And thank you. All right. With that,
Joshua's there.
Joshua was there, but she's
No,
not
she's here now.
She's here now. All right, I can jump around to this one at least. Joshua, can you hear me?
She was on, then she jumped back.
She was there. All right, we're gonna proceed on. Okay, so,
There she is.
there she is. Joshua?
Hi, sorry I'm
Hey.
late.
Okay, we were just, since we're at the last one, but, we just reviewed the minutes of December 2nd. Do you have any adjustments or anything? We voted to approve. Are you with us?
Yep, I'm on board.
So it's unanimous for that one. Thank you. All right, now, public speak. And again, as kind of what we've done all the way through this. Anyone have anything to say other than the dog park? The dog park will be the next item on the agenda. So with that, I have no one interested in public speak. Okay, thank you. So, oh, I have something.
Amanda's raised her hand.
Amanda for you. Okay, go ahead, Amanda.
Hi. I do want to public speak, but it's in regards to the dog park. Does that mean I wait?
Yes, I'm
Okay,
gonna
cool.
allow some time for that.
Thank you. Oops.
Okay, so what we're gonna do now, because we're gonna get into the dog park, part of the designs. And I know there's been some, talk about people not feeling like they've had the opportunity to speak. So I'm gonna open it up. But what I'm gonna do is, because, to be honest, we've had about 5 public speaks regarding the dog park. I'm going to limit it to 22 minutes, 25 minutes. I'll give everyone a minute and a half. I'm gonna let you know when you're getting close, and we're going to try to keep things flowing, for that. So with that, and then how it's gonna work is, then after the public speak is done, then the board we will review the general, there's 2 designs. We'll get into the conversations amongst the board, and we'll go from there. So just as a point of clarity, based on the minutes that we have 2 sites that we're talking about. And I just, to reference them so that we're clear, we have a site which is considered Pavilion 3, which is over by, obviously, where Pavilion 3 is. And then I'm gonna go by what's called in the minutes, which is the metal playground site, which is over more towards Pavilion 1 by the pool. Those of you that went on the walk with Bill and us will have a pretty good idea where that is. So that's how we're gonna reference them, and when we start reviewing them, that's how I'm gonna reference them. So with that, I would ask you, if you want to public speak, to let me know, and please have your name so we can put your name on the minutes. Okay.
Joan Kurtz. Before I do a public speak, when you are doing the discussion, or when you're done with the discussion, can we talk then? I'm just talking now about something.
Can you speak up a little, please?
My opinion is no, because basically what we're trying to do now is, we've been looking at these plans for multiple meetings. So the discussion that we're gonna have is gonna be amongst the board, and at that point, whether we decide to vote on something, whether we decide not to vote on something, it's in our hands at that point.
Ken, I'd like to speak also.
That's fine, but I'm gonna let.
Yep, sure, yep.
Okay, please.
No, then I will hold up my public speak until everybody else. Hope they cover the same thing I was going to.
Okay, thank you.
Ooh, can I get a second? This is gonna be real quick. We did a survey amongst our members, concerning the dog park, and I just want to highlight a couple of what?
Members of what, sir?
The Friends of the Easthampton Dog Park.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
So one of the things we talked about during some of these meetings is some misinformation that we wanted to cut down all the trees. Shade trees was the #1 response as to that those folks want shade trees. So we're in line with our members, because we don't want to cut down all the trees. We go to another one. Would you be willing to volunteer for park maintenance or events? So by and large, everyone said yes or maybe. So there are going to be people who are going to maintain this from the FED. Let me go to the next one. What times of the day do you prefer to visit the dog park? So mornings and afternoons were the highest response rates. What days of the week typically do you visit the dog park? So it was almost equally distributed between Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. However, Saturday was a big day. Most respondents said Saturday. What are your reasons for visiting a dog park? A lot of people want to go and have exercise with their dogs at the dog park. Socialization for them. Some folks, maybe empty nesters, or just love their dog, or want to talk to other folks in the city. Socialization was a huge response and fun for my dog. That one. How often do you visit the dog park? So that daily, weekly, and about once a week, we're equally split. That's all I got.
Thank you. I gave you extra time because I saw you. No, you did a great job. No, no worries, because you were very professional there. I wasn't. Thank you. I won't jump in on that one. You're good. Thank you. You brought data. I appreciate it. Thank you. Anyone else?
Right here. My name is John Joy. I've been in Easthampton for 40+ years. It seems like there's two factions here. There really isn't two factions. I'm not against the dog park, and I don't think most of us are. It's just the size and the location. Location is probably a major one after thinking about this. It's proposed to be 1.5 acres. 1.5 acres, to give you some perspective, most of us know what a football field is. That's 1.25 acres. So when you're at the dog park, you have to have visual control of your dogs and be able to retrieve them. If most people are going to use it are either elderly or disabled, that isn't all. That's consideration. And I don't see a lot of people doing a 100-yard dash to break up a fight before it gets catastrophic. There was a survey, not a survey, but a data bank by the National Dog Park Association saying size requirements 0.5 acre to 1 acre. So if we took it and knocked it down to 0.75, they'd only have to do a 50-yard dash to get their dogs. And there's a lot of good things about this. For one thing, the cost goes down. You're able to see your dogs better, and actually, if something happens, you can get them. And the smaller area might fit into a lot of different areas. And consideration is, it's a bad number, but they're saying between 20 and 40% of dogs get attacked in a dog park, depending on the dog parks. It's not inevitable, but it's a possibility. So we have to be able to take our dogs back quickly. And that's what my consideration is. And as far as the locations, the location near Pavilion 3 is, there's kids there for the summertime, and it's going to be a distraction for the dogs and the kids. That pavilion is a revenue pavilion, which I think is around $300 for events. There's a lot of events there. And even though you're going to pick up poop, it's going to smell like urine. And there's a lot of activities there. But that's just my feelings on it. Thank you.
I'm already screwed up my own minutes, but that's kind of how I end up rolling with this stuff. I don't like to interrupt people. I guess it's my Catholic bring up. Well, I guess I'll just go around the room. You're next.
Diane Borowski. I'm on my 3rd dog, and I've always taken my dogs to the park. Years ago, a bunch of us would get together and all kinds of dogs. We mostly went into the woods and stuff. So there's so many trails, and there's a lot of activity with the kids. My granddaughter, who's sick today, I know she wanted to come here to speak. She's been working at the camp for like 5 summers, and we had gone on to that tour, you know, which one, by the Lady Slipper Place or by Pavilion 3. And she definitely, well, she doesn't like the Lady Slipper one, but anyways, by Pavilion 3, she said it's too close to the kids. You know, yeah, the parking area is great for, you know, people who are going to use the parking, but she said it's too close to the where the kids are. Pavilion 3, the kids are in like in the woods. And then you talk about socialization. I volunteer at the senior center. Go to the senior center and socialize there, or call your friends and you go through the woods. There's so many trails and so much nice areas to be walking out there with the dogs. They don't have to be in a dog park. And I like hearing the kids. But I had gone when we had COVID and there's nobody in the park. It was like dead silence. But after a year or two, when things were opening up, and then the kids are, you know, playing, and it was so nice to hear doing the ball games and they're playing at the playground and stuff. I don't want to hear dogs barking. But anyway, you gotta take your dogs and walk them. You can go with your friends in the woods or go around the pool area and walk. Exercise for both of you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, next. Well, again, I'm going to just work my way around. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Eileen Jager. I live on Williston Ave across from the cemetery and the woods. I've already spoken quite passionately about why I think Pavilion 1, the Lady Slipper, is not an ideal location. And what I want to share tonight is, as I've been doing more research into dog parks, and John has mentioned some of these things already, there's a higher risk of aggressive dogs. Not all dogs are well suited to be in a dog park. I have a lot of questions. What happens if there's an injury to a person or a dog? Like, what's the liability factor for that? Ringworm, hookworm, tapeworm, heartworm, all of these are communicable diseases from dog feces, dog to dog, and from dog feces to human via flies. So from a public health and safety perspective, I think it would be absolutely reprehensible to have a dog park anywhere close to a pavilion where there's food. Now, I'm always one who wants to say dream bigger. And when I first heard about the dog park, I thought, oh, it's going to be a fenced-in enclosure. So I was actually really delighted to see what Mr. Cannon has drawn up and how this vision has been scaled up. But the truth is, when you try to fit that vision into Nonotuck Park, I think it doesn't fit at that scale. So there's part of me that wants to say maybe dog park needs to dream a little smaller and move away from the pavilions, move away from the lady slippers. Maybe there's room by Booster Field, or maybe it can be on Strong Avenue again. But public health and safety is primary. And I'm also curious, again, just an open-ended question, about what it is to have a public space, and you all are the stewards of this space, and then a private organization raising funds to put this thing in a private space. And maybe that's happened with the pickleball, maybe that's happened with other things in town, I don't know, but I'm just wondering what the stressors are there, what the potential problems have been looking forward. And I just want to underline what Diane said. Her granddaughter is a counselor at the park, and these kids use the woods for play, for discovery, for learning.
I'm sorry, but you're well beyond.
I'm done.
Please.
Thank you. And thank you all.
Next. Who's next? Go ahead.
My name's Wayne Cummings. I'm a security officer for Parks and Rec. I've worked there for 30 years. And our biggest problem as far as people and dogs is dogs getting out of cars, running before the owners get control. I've also been there when a young kid in diapers underneath the bleachers at Sheehan Field got bit by a dog on a leash. And the woman walked away and said, "Don't worry, he's got his shots." Well, the kid was bleeding, and she came up to me, the mother. I sent her to the hospital. We got the name of the person. I told her to go to the police department. It was taken from there. And as far as dogs biting people or dogs, my dog got bit by a dog. It cost the owner over $400 for the dog. And my wife had to go to the emergency room, and it cost them money for that. You're bringing a dog park into a park that is designed for picnics and sports. And on weekends, there's hundreds of people in there. And if you lose control of a dog, who knows what the screaming kids are going to do? It's not an ideal location for a dog park unless you've got a lot of money to pay for fights. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Joe Saraki, a lifelong resident of Easthampton, avid park walker, and also like Wayne, I'm a seasonal part-time security officer, so I can offer a unique perspective from what I see by spending a great amount of time in the park at all different days and hours. We have all heard the saying, location, location, location. This is what seems to be the issue, is I believe we can all agree that a dog park would be beneficial for Easthampton. Now the question, where would be the best location for both the dogs and their human companions? Two locations with Nonotuck Park have been proposed, but I see some potential issues with the sites. First of all, Nonotuck Park is a sports hub for soccer, baseball, softball, t-ball, high school games and leagues, never mind the pickleballers, cross country, and mountain bike clubs that do use the park at night and weekends. While during the day, traffic and parking probably would not be an issue, but come after 4 or 5 p.m., weekdays and weekends, April through October, forget it. One of our most regular complaints is about speeding cars and not enough parking for visitors and participants. We do spend a great deal of time and energy making sure the roadways are clear so emergency vehicles can get through if needed in case of an emergency. Also during the summer months when the pool is open also adds to increased traffic and congestion, not to mention Camp Nonotuck, which is run during the day. Kids can be loud, and this in itself can add stress and anxiety for the dogs. Bottom line, Nonotuck Park during those times is pretty much maxed out. We are at or above capacity. Also had an issue is a potential loss of income from Pavilion 3 rentals, which is right next to one of the proposed sites. Again, during peak times, the lot is full. As anyone who has driven through or been to a baseball game knows, parking is at a premium. Cars are parked all over the place. Pavilion 3 is also popular as those who rent it so because of its seclusion. With the dog park literally right in its backyard could become an issue with fewer rentals and thus loss of income. We also have to remember the park is seasonal. It's closed during the months of November to the end of October. I think we need to take into consideration other sites and not have tunnel vision where we are focused on only one particular location. We don't want to have to be in a future situation where we now have additional issues as we told you so. Too many times, and no fault to anyone, when you solve one issue, you inadvertently create new issues. So let's build a dog park at a location we can all feel good about. Thank you.
All right. That's behind me, right behind me.
My name is Maureen Pasquale. I live in Florence Road and I've lived in Easthampton like 50 years. I'm in favor of the dog park at Nonotuck. I have been walking my dog now for 12 years there, if not longer, because I had previous dogs. And anxious to have them be able to socialize. But when they're on a leash, you can't have them run, and he needs to run. There's no place to run around here. There's no dog parks. In Nonotuck, you cannot allow your dog to run loose, and that's what I'm in support of. So I am in favor of this dog park, and I think Pavilion 1 is excellent because we don't have to, there's not that many trees that have to be cut down there. If you walk it, you can actually see there's already spaces there that they can run free. So again, I am in favor, and I think Pavilion 1 is good, or Pavilion 3, but Pavilion 1 is my favor.
What about the issue that's only open for 6 months?
What did he say? I didn't hear him.
Okay.
It's public speak, they're allowed to talk. You had your time.
Okay.
I didn't hear him anyway.
Are you all set?
I'm done. Thank you.
Next, someone next.
Elaine Wood, 9 Overlook Drive, Easthampton. I don't even have a dog, and I'm on the dog park committee because I really believe we need a dog park in town. I was on the original committee when they had picked 13 sites and 150 people picked Nonotuck Park. I was one of the ones that said, no, I don't want Nonotuck Park because I don't want people to have to pay to get to the dog park. So I was anti. Now I am for it because we've been through probably 16 sites in the last 5 years. So we're okay with it being closed in winter. People don't play pickleball in the winter. People don't play basketball in the winter. So we're okay with that being closed. We don't expect to be there. Acre and a half. I've been to 9 dog parks across the state of Massachusetts. There are dog parks all over the world, not just in the United States, all over the world. Yes, there are dogs that may bite, but they're also going to bite before they're in a dog park. People are letting their dogs loose in Nonotuck Park all the time. This is going to at least contain them into the dog park. Walking through the woods, there's a leash law in Easthampton. You cannot let your dogs loose in the woods. There's a leash law. What other? Private funds. Yes, you can donate to the park. I donated benches to the park, to Millside Park. You can donate private funds to the park. What other questions were there? But yeah, dogs can bite anywhere. Doesn't have to be in a dog park. It can happen anywhere, anytime. So you can't use that as a reason not to do a dog park. I've been to so many dog parks and everybody's thrilled with the dog parks. Yes, there may be a dog bite here and there, but they're going to be a dog bite here or there, no matter where they are. It can happen. It's happened on Cottage Street where somebody got bit. It might have been Cottage, it might have been, yeah, I think it was Cottage Street where somebody was bit, just walking their dog. So it can happen. I think I got all the questions.
All right, we're kind of winding down, but is there anyone else?
We have 3 online.
We have 3 online.
Sandy Kurtz.
Yeah, I'll let the online people go
I've
when
been
they're
to
on.
dog parks throughout the United States. They do not smell of urine.
Oh, that's what I missed.
They do not smell of poop. I'm not sure why people think they do, but they do not. We are one of the few municipalities that does not have a dog park. It makes no sense. These dogs deserve to be off leash. I've never been to a dog park where the dog has climbed the fence to get out. They just want to play. The children will not be affected. There's this obsession with the children being closer, so the dogs are going to jump the fence and go after the children. It just doesn't happen. And those of us who've been to dog parks know that doesn't happen. And I think some of the opinions we're getting tonight are from people who have never really been to a dog park for any length of time.
Is that it? You good? Okay, sir.
JP Kwasinski, City Councilor. I've been here since the first question of a dog park came in. And we looked, in fact, I'll attest, we looked all over the city.
2019.
We went, I've been to every dog park I can imagine in probably within 20 miles of here, 20 to 30 miles. I've never seen or smelled problems with a dog park anywhere. I've never actually seen any elderly person or person with who couldn't run fast actually hang out. There wasn't like a congregation of people all the same. It was a mixture of people, and I imagine if there's a couple of people, somebody's going to run and try to help if there is somebody who can't run. So I don't see that as a major stumbling block. Would it be nice if we all could run 100 yards really quick? Absolutely. In our search throughout the entire city, you can think of no better place than Manatee Park. Centralized. I mean, I could go on and on with all the issues. I'm sure you've heard those. So from my perspective, I think it's time we take some action to make it happen.
Thank you. All right, we're at 22. I'll give Joe. All right, Joan, I'll let you go, and then we'll go online, and that'll be it. So go ahead, Joan.
Joan Kurtz, commenting on some of the other people's comments. We're on our 7th dog, and she needs to be off leash. If I let her off leash near any woods, she's chasing after squirrels and rabbits. In a fenced area, she has a blast. We have gone to Agawam, South Hadley, Holyoke, Westfield for dog parks, and she's had a grand time. Northampton is working on one. We're the only one, as we said, that doesn't have a dog park. I'm tired of driving out of my city and giving them the funds to support their dog park, and I'd rather give funds to mine. Again, no poop smell, no pee smell. Parasites, yes, they exist. If you're a hiker, they exist. Does that mean you keep yourself sheltered indoors and don't go out and enjoy the world? If a dog gets sick, you treat them. If you get sick, you treat them. It's nothing horrendous. All parasites are transmittable either by poop or by water. So it happens at the dog park. Facebook gets posted. Someone has Giardia and are at a dog park. Be careful. They usually remove the water bowls. And then you check your dog gets treated, your dog goes back. So again, Nonotuck Park is the ideal park because everybody walks their dogs there anyway. Having them off leash is the best thing to do for socializing your dog as well as for yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. All right, with that, that's it for the room. I'm gonna turn it over to Lisa's first. Lisa, you're up first.
Hi, thank you. Lisa Downing, Beechwood Avenue, Easthampton. The description of Nonotuck Park on the city's website begins, Easthampton's greatest asset. Nonotuck Park is a beautiful family-friendly park where you can enjoy a picnic, a ball game, or just relax in nature. It then goes on to list a long list of amenities, including everything from a beach sand volleyball court to the Toteman Trail around the perimeter of the park. When I see this site, I envision a place for recreation, enjoying the outdoors, and being in community. I also see a dog park fitting in perfectly to this vision and expanding the circle of who in our community is using and enjoying our city's greatest asset. What makes the plans that the commission have reviewed for the 2 possible locations so great is that we are asking you to fit in an amenity of 1.5 acres into a park that is 260 acres big. We're asking for less than 0.5% of the total acreage of the park. We seek to work within existing infrastructure like restrooms, parking, and roads to minimize the disruption to Nonotuck Park outside of the fence containing the dog park. On top of all of that, you have a group of passionate, community-minded, nature-loving citizens that are prepared to be in partnership with the Parks and Rec Department, commissioners, and fellow park-loving residents. Our commitment is not shallow or fleeting. We've been trying to make the dream of an off-leash dog park a reality in our community for 6 years, and we aren't going anywhere. Once you sign off on a site, which I hope you expedite, we will be in partnership with you, raising money, talking to community members and groups, being flexible and supportive. Once the park is up and running, we will have help monitor the park, cleaning up the park, and further engaging with dog owning and loving community to make sure that the park is clean, attractive, and an asset to Nonotuck Park and our community.
Thank you. That's perfect. Who's it next?
Amanda.
Amanda, you're next. Thank you.
Hi there. I hope you can hear me okay.
Yeah.
Amanda Fortier-Gagnon, 12 Sheffield Drive. I want to start by saying that I definitely am in support of a dog park. I have a very active dog, and we frequent dog parks often. That being said, I was the director at Camp Nonotuck for a very long time. I worked for Camp Nonotuck as the director, as a counselor, etc., for over 15 years, and I have been back recently in a different capacity. And I know a lot of people have brought up Camp Nonotuck and the concerns about having a dog park so close to the pavilions where we house the children in the park. And I think a lot of people are bringing up really good points. I don't know if anyone in the room has ever tried to contain 60 to 80 middle schoolers at one time. We employ 6 to 7 high school students that work for what's called our senior camp, our middle school camp that runs at Pavilion 3, and 5 to 6 high school students that work at Pavilion 1 with our 5 and 6-year-olds. This is a big deal. And the reason this feels like a really big deal is because children love dogs. And whereas I'm the one who trains the staff, I still do that. I come back every year to train them, even though I'm employed now in a different capacity with camp. We still have challenges, right? These are high school kids that we're asking to do the best they can to supervise middle school and young students who are doing various activities through the park at all times during the day. Kids are extremely loud. Many of the dog parks that I have been to are in remote locations. Maybe some of them are near some playgrounds, but there are far distances between those playgrounds and where the dogs are encased in the fences for the dog park. So that makes me really nervous as someone who manages this staff, as someone who has been responsible historically for this volume of children and has seen the difficulty firsthand of supervising this volume of children. These sorts of things make me really nervous. I also believe that Camp Nonotuck since the 80s has been a staple in our community, right? We employ 20 to 30 teenagers every summer. We give 120 campers a week the opportunity to attend camp at Camp Nonotuck. I would hate to see some of that go away. I would hate to see those numbers decrease because kids are afraid of dogs, kids are nervous about being in that space with that many dogs, or because teenagers aren't feeling like they're well equipped to supervise kids when they're in that environment. Additionally, I'm thinking about stray balls, stray frisbees. What happens if you...
Amanda, sorry, honey, you got to wrap it up. You're double your time. Sorry.
Really? That's fascinating. I felt like everyone talked longer than me. But anywho, please just think about the children when we're making this decision. I just don't think this is a safe location. So I ask you to just consider the children. Thanks.
All right. Who's last? All right. Maureen, you're up.
Okay, thank you. I am at 12 Willow Circle here in Easthampton, and my kids all went through Nonotuck Park camp, and now we're empty nesters. I have 2 dogs, and we have to travel to other towns to let our dogs off leash. We have to go to South Hadley or Ludlow or Westfield or Holyoke. I know that this has been, something that's talked about for a long time, and I think Nonotuck Park makes a lot of sense as far as people going to the dog parks. Those are the responsible owners. They're not the people who are, not caring for their dogs. And we help each other. Someone's concerned about, an acre and a half. If somebody notices that we get to know each other. And if somebody knows somebody can't get their dog and there's a problem, we pitch in and help each other. There is no smell. I don't go and smell. I smell more walking down the street where people don't pick up their dog poop and, don't take care of it. As far as walking in the woods, my dogs need to run and socialize. I walk them every single day, but there's nothing like letting them off leash and let them run and interact. As far as with the kids, I do, understand the concern, but keep in mind that in every dog park, there's always 2 safety gates. There's a one gate where you have to go in, and then your dog can be in the waiting area, then you go in. That's the same for a child who might want to try to escape and get in there. So I think that's something to be taken into consideration as well. And I really think that's it, other than, people are responsible in Nonotuck Park. I'd love to be able to use it. So, I support it in whatever location the committee decides. And I think it's a great thing for Easthampton.
Thank you.
To the park. Thank you.
All right. Connie?
Hi, thank you so much. I want to, well, first of all, my name's Connie Denham. I live in Precinct 4, and in full disclosure, I'm also a city councilor. I want to express my support for the dog park in either location. I think the park commissioners have a heavy task in front of them choosing those. I think they're both ideal locations. I think one offers a lot of quiet space, and I think the other space, Pavilion 3, if you think about human activity and things like that, it also creates an ideal space for folks to be able to kind of engage with more people, but also allow for more tranquility to exist throughout the park. I think I've heard a lot of comments this evening about responsible dog ownership. I have full faith in the folks who are advocating for this to be responsible. I also hear some concerns around children, which I think that the fencing around that particular space provides that safety and that security to be able to manage and keep children away. I think there's other things that you can do to manage that, including having material around the fencing or hedging around the fencing that would keep kids away. And I think someone made a point about that's a 1.5 acres or is a large space, but I think it's important to keep in mind that that space is actually going to be broken up into 3 separate areas, one for large dogs, one for small dogs, and then one for agility. So I think it's a really ideal location, either of those. And so I just want to express my support. This has been a 6-year process. They've tried lots of different areas. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
We can hear Connie online, but it might be the connection
Alrighty.
in the conference room.
Looks like, is everybody?
Marty,
It's the connection in the conference room.
you're last, Marty.
Thanks, John. Marty Klein, 7 Stone Path
everybody's-
Lane.
When-
I've been
IT issue.
I've been enjoying
Marty,
Nonotuck
Marty,
Park.
I don't think you can be heard.
Again,
Mike.
we can hear him online.
Yeah, we can hear him online.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear Marty, we can hear you. I don't think they can hear you in the conference room.
Can't use camera.
Do you need my camera on?
No, I think they're dealing with camera technical
Well,
issues in the
no.
conference room at the moment. Let's just.
Just was talking to, can't hear anybody. Can you hear me in my microphone?
Marty, they can't hear you.
I don't know what to do.
I think let's give them a minute to figure out tech in the conference room.
Yeah.
Yep. Hang in there, Marty.
Okay.
Everybody communicates too. Is there a chat?
Yeah.
Testing. Testing. Testing.
I know, that was weird.
Testing.
Yeah, Connie.
Heard Marty.
Can you hear me?
Marty, hold on one
now.
second. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, Marty, one moment, please. We got Connie still on the.
Oh, sorry.
You're
Yeah,
good.
no, that's-
We lost her. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to wrap up and say that I'm in full support of the dog park, and I don't envy the decision you all have to make, but I appreciate the challenge that you have before you in choosing two ideal locations for the dog park. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. And then Marty was. Okay, Marty, you're it. Make it good.
Thanks, John. Thank you. Marty Klein, 7 Stone Path Lane. I've been enjoying going to Nonotuck Park for more than 25 years. I'm a nature lover. I'm a mushroom picker. I don't want to see more habitat destroyed in the park. The park is closed 6 months a year, so I think that's not a great thing for a dog park. I am in favor of a dog park, but not in Nonotuck Park for all the reasons that people have mentioned already. You're not going to smell the urine. Okay, fine. But where does that urine go? The park is uphill from the pond, so it goes into the pond. Not a good thing. There was a perfectly good location off of Ferry Street that the dog park people rejected. And that's too bad because that would have been a great location. But for whatever reasons, they rejected that. Nonotuck Park is just wrong. Is that it?
Are you done? Yes.
No, you're good,
You're
Marty.
good, Marty. You got another 30 seconds, kid.
Okay. I don't want to hear a bunch of dogs barking when I go to the park for quiet enjoyment. That's my personal take. So wrong location. I'm in favor of a park, but not here. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So we are closing the discussion at this point. Put it to the committee. We have 2 locations that we've been talking about, which is the Pavilion 3 and I don't remember what we called it. The metal playground. Thank you. Any comments? Anyone on the commission want to speak? Anyone have any comments about what we've been listening to for the only 2 locations? At this point, these are the 2 locations that we are considering for this committee. No, that's it. You guys spoke.
We're just asking.
No, you're good. You're good. Just us. So.
For me, it's about location and size. And I think it's been mentioned, right? So location is key. I'm going to speak for myself, but I'm certainly in favor of a dog park, but it has to be the right location. A non-starter for me is the metal playground. I don't think we should be taking the flowers that are there
That's,
away.
never mind. I keep getting them mixed
Yeah,
up in my
yeah,
head too.
yeah,
I'm
the
looking
middle
at the same.
playground.
Changed their naming. Yeah. Yeah.
But I think the size we need to consider as well. An 1.5 acres over at that Pavilion 2 or 3, sorry, Pavilion 3. I think it's just too large. For me, I would love to see designs that would downsize that right? From an acre and a half to see maybe an acre or 3/4. Or I would really like to see that area that, we were discussing that's over by the soccer complex. Yeah, by that soccer complex. I would love to be able to see a design put in there. Yeah, that's where I am at right now.
You're talking about, right?
Yeah, there's in between the outfields, right?
Yeah.
Between that dirt road
Yeah,
and the actual road that goes to the
You see that?
soccer field.
Well, I'm just like wondering, at the start of the meeting, you were like, we're just talking about these two locations. And it seems like the conversation is veering a little bit off of these locations. So I feel like our comments should just be in terms of what we're talking about.
Point taken.
Sure.
All right, so you've made your points about the two
Yep.
locations. Anyone else want to jump in here? You were-
Sure, I also am in support of the dog park. And also I'm not in favor of the Pavilion 1 metal playground lady slipper location. And while I can appreciate what my fellow commissioners said about the size, I also feel that some of the conflicts that would potentially occur in a dog park are when there isn't enough room. And so having enough room for dogs to actually be able to run and play and have different socializing groups at one time is part of the importance. So I don't necessarily feel that the size overall needs to be changed. The only part that I think was concerning to me was the closeness on that Pavilion 3 border. Am I looking at that correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah, and just wondering if there was ever, like, if we do decide to move forward with that location, potentially shifting the boundary, to have it be less this way and a little more this way, to have a little
Bill
more
talked,
buffer.
when we were when we were taking the walkthrough, Bill talked about shifting it. But when he said he shifted it, he would shift it, twist it kind of more towards where you have the walkway by the bathroom.
Mhm.
He was talking about moving it closer to that area, so he would be moving it away from the Pavilion 3, but closer to so there's, if I recall correctly.
Shorter and fatter than.
Well, I think he wasn't talking about really short and too much, just kind of twisting it, relocating it, pushing it further away from that fence. If I recall, that's,
The marker was, yeah,
that's my-
50 the original marker was 50 feet, and Bill said we would go another 50
he was gonna
feet,
go another,
which
yes.
would then shift it 50 feet closer.
Yeah.
But I still believe the
General size.
the border overall would be at least 50 feet from all sides, like the roads and that area.
Yeah, I don't think a buffer is that much of a concern on the roadway.
No, yeah, right. So that's my thoughts.
Okay.
Would the commissioners
Desiree?
also please share your names for those of us who don't?
I'm Carolyn Anderson.
I'm sorry?
Right.
Carolyn
Carolyn, thank you.
Anderson.
Eric and Joshua had their hands up first.
Okay, you got, what, you have,
I'll let them speak first.
okay. All right, Eric, go ahead. Just first. Oh, just the first, sorry, go ahead, just.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm Joshua, a member of the Parks and Rec Commission. I really appreciate all of the input that folks have given so far. I think that they're over both this public speak portion and also from the several different meetings that we've had around the dog park and discussing different locations. I think that particularly around some of the concerns that were brought up today about being in proximity to children and in proximity to noise or an increase in noise pollution. I think that I was actually remembering my time living outside of Easthampton in Philadelphia and being a dog walker in that city and bringing dogs to the dog parks that existed in the city itself. Most, if not all of them, were right across the street from people's homes, or were in a park space that were very close in proximity to playgrounds as well. And I'm just thinking about how how there weren't actually that many concerns, regardless of like the around like noise levels and around like concerns between kids and dogs interacting with one another and safety concerns around that. I felt like there was a lot of self-organizing that community members were doing to make sure that everybody was staying safe, and different safety concerns were being mitigated in different ways. And I just have a lot of faith both in the Friends of the Easthampton Dog Park group and also our community members at large to be able to create those kinds of self-organizing mechanisms here in the city too. And yeah, and I'm also thinking about the ways that different folks in the city have been trying to create more climate conscious and like environmentally friendly approaches to what we do in the city, and thinking about like methane composters as being an option that like we could think about in terms of disposing of dog poop, and in terms of making sure that it's not being like urine and stuff, I think is a little harder to control for, but the poop aspect, at least we can mitigate that by having receptacles that are both like curbing the smell aspects and also are creating a productive and generative and eco-friendly use for that material too. In terms of the space options that we have in front of us, I'm thinking, I feel excited about both of them. My concerns are largely around the budget for creating and constructing in either area. I know that this was a question that I had come up for me when we did the walkthrough back in November. Was that November? Yeah. And just they're feeling like a higher cost estimate potentially for the Pavilion 3 location as opposed to the one by the metal playground, mainly around like both tree clearing and around like creating of any additional like parking spaces and expanding any parking spots in that area. Whereas in the other location, there was talks of just like rather than like having a lot of cleared out space already that could easily be covered with gravel for parking spaces to be created. So just some thinking about that. And in terms of the size of the park itself, I think to Carolyn's point about like I think it was Carolyn, I'm not sure, the video was off, but about having different sections for different dogs, or there being more space makes for less conflicts to arise between dogs. But I think also the sections of having like a large dog space, a small dog space, and a agility course really brings down the size of that 1.5 acres in a way that makes it more manageable for people to both be in proximity to their own dog and also to mitigate any conflicts that might happen between different dogs doing different things. So those are just my initial thoughts right now.
Thank you. Okay, Eric.
Thank you. First and foremost, I want to thank the Friends of the Dog Park group for your persistence, for your energy, for everything that you have done to push this forward over the past few years. And in fact, if, and you know, I won't say if, when this dog park is eventually built in Easthampton, frankly, I think it should be named for Joan, because you've been such a tireless, no, for real, you've been such a tireless advocate for this project, and please, like, your efforts have been completely recognized. I say that, and you know, and I will also cite my friend Lainey Wood, who stated earlier that initially she was opposed to a dog park in Nonotuck Park. Honestly, full disclosure, initially when it was proposed that there would be a dog park in Nonotuck Park, my gut reaction was, well, where's that going to be? There's not really the ideal location for it. I will say that I'm in the words of Carol Dweck, having a growth mindset on this. And I will say I'm not completely opposed to having a dog park. Like, I'm not opposed at all, actually, at this point, to having a dog park within Nonotuck Park. Having said that, however, I feel we have two locations right now that are not ideal, and each for very different reasons. I feel that the location by Pavilion 1, the metal playground, we've heard a lot about the lady slippers. We've heard a lot about that being a really quiet place for recreation that people deeply value. I don't feel like that is the proper spot for the dog park because it is so remote and so quiet for folks who like passive recreation. On the flip side, the other location, which is closer to Pavilion 3, I feel is too much in the middle of everything. And anyone who has been to the park on evenings when there are sports happening or Saturday mornings when there's sports happening, I can't even imagine having additional people and vehicles in the park in that area. I also want to be very mindful. I'm a dog owner, dog lover. Anyone who has been a dog walker in the park met my dog Monty for many, many years. Owning a dog is a privilege, and I'm always going to err on the side of saying children and kids and people should take precedent over dogs. So the concern about the proximity to where Camp Nonotuck is a very important one to me. I do have deep concerns about that. I know it was stated earlier as a point of order, we're only going to talk about these two sites tonight. I will just say I hope that we could consider potentially other sites within the park for a possible dog park location. You all have done such tremendous work, and I don't want to shut this down because I do think it's a value. It will be a value for Easthampton, but I feel like we need to do a little bit more work. I feel like we need to find a better location. I don't think that either one of these two proposed spots is the right spot. And I'm sorry to say that. I really do want this to happen. And actually, finally, for one last point, I do think it is significant that employees of the park department who work there every day and night have come out tonight and have shared their concerns about these particular locations. If these are the folks who know the day-to-day operations of the park, we should listen to them and we should value their opinion. I think we're close. I think we're really, really close. And I know it's been like 5 or 6 years. I think we're really close. And I just want to make sure that we get this right. So honestly, right now, tonight, the two locations that are proposed, I'm going to vote no on both of them with hopes that we can look at an additional site. Thank you, and I appreciate everyone for listening.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, Desiree, you're up. You got something
I mean, everybody's kind of hitting all of my opinions. Talking about obviously the size of it. I mean, Connie kind of hit the main one I was going to say. Yes, it is a big area, but it's because we're breaking it down to, sections for the dogs to actually be able to run in and work out, especially obviously small dogs versus the large dogs. So I don't think skimming it down matters. I know there was a comment about the winter months and it's not that big of a deal. I know speaking with South Hadley, their dog park is used the majority of the time in the winter, or a lot in the winter months, because obviously you can't really be walking through the woods a lot of the times if it's muddy and snowy, and unless you have snowshoes, I guess. But so their dog park is actually used more in the wintertime, they're seeing, than in the spring, summer, and fall. Obviously that brings up a bigger issue with our park being closed, and that will be a later conversation, but
I think I'll be
we
gone
won't
by the
go
time that
there.
one happens.
I mean, my
personal thing would be leaning more towards the Pavilion 1 versus the Pavilion 3 in general. Thinking about obviously other locations in the park. I mean, I'm assuming this map is in the park. I don't see any other possible location where it could be because, I mean, you end up with the cross-country fields and people bringing up the children. You have the trails that go to Mountain View on that side, so you can't really fence it off in any of that area, but.
Which one are you leaning towards?
I mean, looking at like the map in general of Nonotuck, there's there really is no good spot unless you start breaking it up and doing a small dog park here and a large dog park over here, and that just isn't feasible either, so.
So you're leaning towards this one?
Leaning towards the
Mine would be
playground.
more towards the Pavilion 1 with everything that I've heard and everything that I've seen and
Okay.
just
Or the metal playground.
the metal playground, sorry.
Thank you. No, I trust me.
To make it. I mean, both have pros and cons. I think anywhere we bring up or put it is going to have pros and cons. I mean, I would love to see other areas. I know, obviously, there was mention that there was like 20 other spots and, you know,
I think.
Yeah.
Carrie, you got something?
It's hard to type and talk at the same time, so I'll
I think
talk
you
and
remember what you're
hopefully
saying.
summarize.
We'll remind you if you need it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think your last comment about no matter which site we pick, there's going to be pros and cons. I understand and appreciate that we should listen to people who work in the park and have their opinions. And I also want to value Bill Cannon's time. I mean, he's the landscape engineer who has spent a lot of time looking at locations and seeing what would work and what would fit and listening to feedback and adjusting. And I feel really confident that if he's putting these two forward, that they are both good options. So I don't take either one and say either one is off the table. I think I had a slight preference for Pavilion 3, considering the parking is already existing there. So we wouldn't need to add that. And listening to the people who have talked about passive versus active places in the park, you know, it is slightly more passive over by the metal playground, considering kids don't use the metal playground because it's not really a safe place for them to be. But it's on a roadway. So it's, you know, anywhere in Nonotuck Park, unless you're in the trails, does have some activity. So I don't see that as a barrier either. I feel like some of the concerns that have been brought up have already been addressed by many members in this room and on the computer as well for comments. But I do feel like either one of these sites would be a good option for this group.
All right. So, I'll make my statement and then we'll work on, we'll review each site. So you get. Joshua's up again. Go ahead, Joshua.
Yeah, honestly, I'm like forgetting right now what my point had been. But I think, oh, okay, I remember now. The other thing that I'm really appreciating, in addition to what Kira just said about the diligence that was put into finding and mapping out these two sites, is they're also relatively in proximity to the entrance of the park, which, especially if conversations about lengthening the period of time over the course of the year where the park is fully open is like a longer term conversation. I have concerns about looking for spaces or portions of land further into the park, as it would, like, one, during open hours and times of the year would create more congestion going deeper into the park and coming out of it. I also feel like if we're asking for folks who are mostly older and have disabilities who are looking to use the dog park as a space for caring for themselves and for their dogs, I just have further concerns about asking folks to park outside of the park and like walking their dogs further in before they're able to utilize that space when it's able to be fully developed and opened, which will also not be for a few years at this point anyway, given that right now our vote is mainly for approving the like working towards making a park in that area versus one opening immediately. So I think I'm trying to weigh both like wanting to find quote unquote the right spot, which I don't think we'll ever fully find a 100% right spot anywhere. And also with the fact that folks have been working towards this for over 6 years now. And until we as the commission give a green light for somewhere, they're not able to raise any money towards making any of these dreams and plans a reality. So trying to really be mindful about that as well.
That's it. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to speak and then we can put it to votes. I think Desiree hit it on the head when she points out on her map how little space there is, even though we have supposedly that many acres in Nonotuck Park. Usable to me, the park, my own personal opinion, to keep it in less than 20 words or less. I think the park's full. I personally would be against almost anything in the park at this point. I think, in my opinion, the pickleball is it. We've already have concerns about the amount of people that are in the park. We have concerns about traffic getting into the park. So I have a whole list of stuff that I've looked at on dog parks, and a lot of the stuff I saw on dog parks, they were typically not in high traffic areas, although just what I see in Philly, they may have it like that. But if you look at some of the ones like South Hadley or any of these other places, they're really not in a high traffic area. And to me, the Pavilion 3 is just, there's way too much going on in Pavilion 3 to have it there. And then if you really look at Nonotuck, where that swing set is probably the only open area left in Nonotuck where people can actually go walk and not have a baseball diamond right around the corner or a soccer field or whatever else. So to me, that area should probably be more kept. Should be kept kind of left intact if at all possible. So with that, that's all I'm going to say on those subjects. So what I'd like to do now, I guess since we've all had our opinions, there are two locations. So I would like to I'll put them to a vote, I guess. Would probably be the easiest way to do it since we all have our own ideas. And I'll go around the room, and I guess I'll start with.
So I have a question though, because, well, yeah, I guess motions, all that stuff, but obviously, yes, my opinion would be Pavilion 1, or sorry, Meadow Playground versus Pavilion 3 baseball fields. That doesn't mean that I wouldn't vote for 3 if it's an option. So I'm confused on what these votes are gonna be. Is it like?
I'm gonna vote, we're gonna vote for both. We can vote for both. We don't have to vote for one. We'll vote for both. Each committee member has. So if you want to vote yes twice,
Okay.
vote yes twice.
Okay.
If you want to vote no
That's what I was
twice,
asking. Okay.
that's the easiest way for me, I think, to separate this. Rather than forcing anyone to say, I want this one over that one,
Okay.
I will allow it because everyone has their own opinion. If you want to vote, we'll start with the Pavilion 1 or the Meadow Playground. We'll go around.
This is where we need ranked choice voting.
And if they both come up, then it becomes another discussion.
Do you say ranked choice voting?
Ranked choice voting.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's kind of how I'd like to do it, unless you guys have we can argue the two places for another half hour about.
I would just like to ask you to, while you're describing these, to clearly describe them in a way that we all, because I think at this point, Pavilion 3, Pavilion 1,
Yes.
Middle Playground, like it's all, so even a map maybe would be helpful.
So we're gonna start with, I would like to start with the
Thank
Meadow
you.
Playground, which if I was to reference anything, the Meadow Playground is located near the swimming pool
In the quiet loop.
and the quiet loop
Okay.
at the park. Okay,
So
Pavilion 1 is on one
just a
side.
procedural, I think someone needs to make a motion before we vote. in terms of procedures.
Eric had an idea, ranked choice voting might
Well,
work.
we don't have that.
No, he's
on our
not wrong.
Well,
subcommittee.
then,
So-
then you can make a motion to vote for either one. Someone can
Can
make,
I-
all right, then we can.
So can I make a motion and let's see if this motion sounds like it would work? For each commissioner to express whether they are in approval of having a dog park located at Pavilion 1, which is within the quiet loop where the
Metal playground.
metal playground exists and the lady slippers exist.
Okay,
That,
that works. Perfect, thank you.
does that work here?
Yes, that should work.
Okay, so
Procedurally.
so I'm trying to like think a couple steps ahead. So if the vote passes for Pavilion 1, do we even vote for Pavilion 3?
That's what, yeah.
And then
At
if
this
they're
point, are
both
we expressing
okay, are we
so are we
saying then it's up to the dog?
I think that's why ranked choice would work.
Are we gonna be voting on this based on these designs, or is this just relative location?
True, like you said, are we
So
gonna be able to
that's-
alter this, if it goes to 3, do
Yeah.
we get to alter it of where it actually, the borders are and all that stuff, or is it?
I think once we pick a location, we can pick a location with the caveat that we have input as to what the design is.
Yeah.
I don't know how much design we would say once we say it can go there, but I have found so far this group to be very willing to partner and work
Yeah.
with feedback. And so I think it would be in partnership with that. I don't know, Andy, will you let Bill speak to that? It looks like he had something to say. As the chair, will you?
And he
allow-
also, so for Eric and just for that aren't here, Bill did take the time as well to give kind of pros and cons for each site.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's in person, but,
Yeah, that,
So he-
unfortunately, yeah, those,
he
yeah,
did
we-
offer to.
I
make
appreciate
those
it, Bill, but
spots
you-
as well.
you know what, Bill, I'll give you 2 minutes.
All I'm gonna say, I see this as part of an ongoing process. If we can get a site that everybody is on board about and everything else, I anticipate there'll be some additional discussions about the exact design and how it's impacting the edges. And that we should go through a process by which we're kind of getting into some nitty gritty design to respect buffers, the exact location of the entrance and that kind of stuff too. So I kind of completely see that as part of this ongoing process, once a site has been determined.
Would it work better for us to first make a motion to vote if we are in agreement to make a decision that one of these 2 sites presented to us
Is the site to
is
vote
the
on.
site to vote on tonight?
Cause if that
Or,
doesn't
you know what I
pass, then
mean,
it
like-
doesn't matter to choose 1 or 3.
Okay. That's
Right?
probably easier.
Or
Yeah.
could we be more vague about it and say Nonotuck Park, inside Nonotuck Park, or not?
I think,
Brian, I'd be careful of that just because, I don't want to necessarily completely shut the door on Nonotuck Park as a site. However, now that I'm thinking about it, like my proposal of ranked choice voting also doesn't necessarily work because one of the 2 sites would just naturally win over the other when in actually, so I think and I don't have the camera on, so I don't know who proposed this, but I think there should be a first vote to say, are we in favor of one of these 2 sites?
yep, that's what we just have talked about.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then we could vote yes or no, and then from there we can drill down to choose a specific site. I think that makes the most sense, maybe?
That works. That works for me.
Okay.
All right, so I think you just made the motion.
Yes.
Motion
To-
to.
Did I
make the motion?
One of the sites.
Or Eric did, yes.
Or Eric did.
Or you said that earlier and then.
Eric, we'll take you as a second.
Beautiful.
So there's a motion made, to approve one of the 2 sites at Nonotuck Park. Is all those in favor?
Hi.
Great.
Say this again.
So there's a motion being made to basically approve one of the 2 sites. at
Okay,
Nonotuck.
gotcha.
So nowhere else in the.
No,
park, though.
nowhere else
One
to
of
park.
these
1,
2.
2, those 2.
Are you
either-
agreeing to make a
either
vote
1
on
or
one of these
3
2?
in the park.
And just
Okay,
vote.
so I've got.
Well, I don't know if she's voting or has a
I think
question.
she's voting.
No, I'm voting.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
So do we want to do a
3,
Yes votes.
okay, 4, and those against?
No.
So we got 4-3. All right. So I guess we're looking at one or two sites. Do I hear a motion to choose one site over the other?
I'll make a motion that we choose Pavilion 3 site, which is the one where between the pool and the baseball fields.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, got a second. All those in favor?
See, now I don't.
Between the
Right,
two.
yeah.
So you got 3. What would, can I have it again? Go.
Yeah, can we clarify?
That's what, yeah, so this is the part that, like I said, I'm
Well,
not,
now it gets muddy.
now it gets muddy.
Right.
Because all commissioners now may vote on this regardless of whether they voted before, because
Right.
the motion, the
Or they-
previous motion has
Or
passed.
they
And-
abstain.
Correct, okay.
Can
So
we
they have
just
the opportunity to
vote
take it.
on both for posterity?
You just did. Yeah.
No. I mean, like literally, like how many for Pavilion 3, how many for Pavilion 1, rather than like one implying that the other should or shouldn't be voted on.
We can do it that way too,
Yes, we can vote
That
on
was your
both
motion you
locations.
just made, right? More or less.
Well, she
It
voted
could
for Pavilion 3.
Yeah. So
Right.
It's gonna work that way. Okay, so we're gonna vote. We have two pavilions. I need a motion to approve
Pavilion 1.
pavilion. So we just did pavilion 3.
So I'll put a
Wait,
motion.
did we,
That's what
did
I'm
we
confused.
get, we didn't get a vote from everyone. We only got a few votes. So can we
I got
read?
cut off before we could finish that.
Yeah.
Thank you. So a vote for pavilion 3 as,
Yep. I have yes votes for myself, Jishva, and Carolyn.
so you get 3.
So,
And then you have those against.
For Pavilion 3.
3 for.
I'm voting no.
Eric.
Actually, to be honest with you,
Oh, I should abstain. I
we
should
can't
abstain.
vote. We abstain because we basically said no.
Well,
Yes,
so
I'll abstain. Sorry about that. Yeah.
It's separate.
it's a
Separate
separate
motion,
motion.
so-
yeah.
Okay, we still have, okay. I get confused. I'm gonna get right in the mud here. So we're in the mud. So anyone voting no for pavilion 3? Okay, we
Eric.
got no one. So you got three pass and 4 abstentions, basically.
Extensions or no?
Eric said no.
Eric
I'll
said
say-
no.
actually, I'll say-
So I voted, I was mistaken to vote no. I voted no on the initial vote as far as the 2 locations, but because I voted no, I'm going to abstain from getting into the specifics as far as 3 versus 1. So I am abstaining.
I'm gonna abstain also. So you got 3 abstentions, and I would say Desiree's would be a, okay.
What'd you say?
Don't put that.
No, you don't want to put
So,
that.
yeah, I mean, I guess this is why I was trying to clarify, because I'm not against 3. I just think 1 would be better
So I guess,
personally. So it's like, do I vote yes for 3 because I
Yeah.
think it's a bad spot?
That's
then-
kind of my
And then put a
reasoning too.
one to see who votes for
All
1,
right,
but
so
then we're in the
then we
weeds.
we'll change it to, I don't know. So here we go. So we ask individually, go individually and say, which would you prefer, 1 or 3?
1. I said that.
Okay, so let me go back. We're gonna hit rather than, I need a motion to be able to vote. Could someone give me a motion so we
No,
can
but
go?
there's a motion on
There's
the
a motion on the
that
table. We
needs
have to
be
finish
voted
it.
on. So it's up to you. If
You can
you,
withdraw
I-
your motions.
I'll just abstain
You
then, I
can-
guess.
can you-
Whoever made the initial motion can rescind the motion.
Withdraw.
Can I,
That's
can
fine.
I rescind the
Rescind the
motion?
motion.
So let's regroup and
Okay, we're gonna regroup.
see if there, yeah, which was.
So we will go in, I need a motion to basically say commissioner by commissioner to which site they would prefer.
Okay,
which is
so
what I
we're
kinda
not,
wanted
we're
to
not
do in the
voting
first
on
one.
anything. We're basically, at this point, we're voting to get people's preferences. That's the only thing we're
I
committing
think we
to at
already
this
have
point.
those preferences, so correct?
Yeah.
You said preference 3, you said preference 3. Jishva, you mentioned preference 3, is that correct?
Yes.
So then it would be 3 to 1.
Or wait, no, I said
She
Pavilion 1 /
Oh.
metal playground was my preference.
We're 2-2.
But I voted yes on Pavilion 3 because I was assuming that I would vote
Could be.
yes on both.
okay, ready?
Okay.
I have a motion to allow them to have a dog park at Pavilion 1. Does anyone second that?
Second.
Okay.
Okay, can we get into discussion before we vote on this?
Yeah,
So
yes,
I-
but Can I just catch up on the notes?
Hold on one second. Eric.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we can-
Okay, so there's a motion on the table to approve Pavilion 1 as the proposed dog park site. Made by Kira, seconded by Desiree. And now Eric is asking for discussion.
Discussion, Eric.
Go ahead.
So I wonder, just in the name of, how do I put it? Due diligence and being, no, that's not the right term. Anyways, I'm wondering if we could then, like, before we make a formal vote, take kind of a straw poll amongst the commissioners as far as what your preference is, Pavilion 1 versus Pavilion 3. And then once that is determined, then call a vote of the whole commission, because I think in the name of good government, I think that, like, okay, so we have a majority on the commission that wants to have the dog park in one of these two locations. I am hopeful that we as a commission would then vote unanimously once we decide what the location is. Does that make sense? Because I think, I want us to support the dog park, even though I don't necessarily support either of these two sites. I would, like, if we have a majority on the commission, I will support what the commission does. I hope that makes sense. I know I'm not in the room and I can't read people's faces.
Camera shot.
It's
It definitely makes
confusion,
sense.
it's confusion
just-
anyway, Eric.
This one's
I understand.
I want a dog park, and I think that there are other areas best suited, and I'm being forced to go this location or this location, which either one has, yeah. And if my hand is being forced, I'm like, I wish we could explore more opportunities.
Is that
I know, Brian, and actually, I completely agree with you. I specifically said that I'm not going to vote for either one of these locations, but I think just in the name of good government, now that there's a majority that's voting for one of these two sites, I think, you know what I mean? Like, I think that we, I don't want the dog park in either one of these spots. I wish we were exploring other spots in the park.
It's not going to, that's not, Eric. So at this point, we've got our discussion. We've had our second.
Yep.
Does anyone else have further discussion based on that, or?
We can, at this point, we've already worked, the die is kind of already cast. We can take a straw poll after this and do a final vote, because basically we'll have information from both locations. So we have basically two locations right now. Both locations apparently are passing, correct?
seems like, I mean, if they
Both
we
locations.
passed forward
Both locations have been approved by various members, whether it's the same or not. So at this point, I would like a motion for a straw poll based on Eric's suggestion to go around the room and try to figure out which would be more ideal.
So because you're looking at me, Andy, I'm going to.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
I picked the wrong seat
Yes, you
today.
did.
I purposely set you.
I know, you did. You set me up.
Actually, you were in the seat first.
No, she was here. So I would make a motion that we go around the room and do a straw poll for each commissioner, asking which their preferred site would be for the dog park within Nonotuck Park, between Pavilion 3, which is the
Area by the baseball complex.
between the baseball complex and the pool,
Mhm.
or Pavilion 1, which is in the quiet loop with the metal playground and the lady slippers.
Perfect. So I'll go online first, Jishva.
My preference would be Pavilion 1.
I'll
but-
Second. Oh, you have a second? Sorry, who's second? Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead, trying to move along here.
I thought we had seconded already.
Thought we did too, my bad. Okay, Jishva's one. Eric, Eric, I'm gonna wait because I know you concerns.
Well, if you're going on,
Yeah.
no, if you're
He's
going
just
online,
like,
yeah.
yes.
He's
Go ahead.
he's the one that said it.
Eric.
Oh, am I up now? Okay.
Yes.
Now, having said all that, I'm going to abstain from this part of it.
From the straw
poll?
I'm going to abstain from the straw poll. Yeah.
He's talking about being a united front after the straw poll.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna abstain from the straw poll, but then once we determine what the site is, I will vote in favor of that site in the name of being a good soldier.
I do that.
I pointed out this area, so I have to stick with that area, I guess. So it's gonna be Pavilion 3.
All right. Carolyn,
Pavilion 3, 1.
here.
Yeah, hold on.
She's
Okay, catch up.
multitasking.
Thank you. So it's 2 for 1, 2 for 3. I mean, I said earlier, my slight preference was for Pavilion 3.
Okay. And I'm gonna abstain. So right now it looks like we have 3 for, can you give me the count? You're
No, sorry. Did I get this one?
3 for
Yeah.
Pavilion 1. It's 3 to 2 at
3
this
to
point.
2.
Preference is 3 to 2.
Abstentions.
2 abstentions.
So now.
So now I need a,
I'm
now,
going-
now what, can we make a motion for Pavilion 3?
Well, I voted for Pavilion 1, so why would I make a motion for Pavilion 3?
I will make a motion to vote on.
I thought we were all.
Three, 2 for 1.
All right. So Jishua's made a motion, sorry,
Yes.
for choosing Pavilion 3 as the site
Yes.
possible for a dog park at Nonotuck Park. Do I have a
He
second?
said 1, so it's 3 and 2.
Carolyn seconds.
For Pavilion 3, which is between the baseball field and the pool.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
All those in favor? All right,
Aye.
Hi.
all right, so what do we got?
Wait, so hold on. So yes votes. Can we do one at a time?
Yes, go ahead. Jishua's yes.
Yes.
Eric? Yeah. Yes. Yes. Brian?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm gonna abstain.
Okay, and Kira?
Yes.
And I'm voting no. So,
Okay, the motion passes. 1, 2, 3, 4 yes votes, 1 abstention, 1 no.
I'm not
No.
good government.
No, this is.
Who am I missing?
Budget,
Did you get Carolyn? Did you get Eric? Oh, Eric.
Eric, Carolyn, Kira. Yeah, so 4, and Brian.
Brian, yeah.
That's who I missed. 5 yes votes, 1 no vote, 1 abstention. So motion passes. The dog park can move forward with Pavilion number 3 as the location in Nonotuck Park.
Thank you.
Thank you for your incredible
Final.
patience.
It's approved.
That's our final answer.
And we will be glad to work with all of you.
Yes, thank you all
This is
very
not
much
like just
for all
for
your
us, so.
patience.
Thank you, we appreciate it.
Thanks for putting up with us.
On behalf
Thank
of
you for your work.
Friends of Easthampton Dog Park, I would like to thank you for allowing us this location. I would like to thank Bill Cannon for all of his work about schematics.
Not done
To
yet.
thank all of
You just gotta pull up our work on the plate.
all of our friends, and we look forward to working with the commission and with Bill on getting this done. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Happy
Thank you all
holidays.
very much.
Forward to tranquility in our house tonight.
So, if I would ask, we're still got like 17 items.
Yeah, we're leaving.
We're done.
Thank you all.
Yeah, and then make sure to tell us all that we're still recording.
All right, and we ready? Yep. 7:40. So, budget. Budgets. Folks, we still have a meeting. Folks, please.
We gotta go.
We still have a meeting going on, please.
Can we have like a 1 minute
Yes.
break?
Yeah, because I had
To let them go and like.
use
get
the
my
bathroom. That's what I had to do.
Yeah, I could use a stretch break.
That's the way it was.
See, I only have this going to 7:45, so I want to make sure it still records. Yeah, it says
It looks
7:45.
like it's still recording for us.
Yeah, I'm
online.
just double checking when it goes to 7:46 to make sure it's still.
Gotcha.
Anytime after 11.
Did not like to talk. Right now I have 9.
It's supposed to be a push job.
Open Right, still recording.
Dogs of Easthampton Park Group.
All right, we're gonna come back in. Everybody
Thank
ready?
you. Thank you all.
You're welcome. Good night.
Our budget FY 25, just want to touch on this.
Is it okay if I close that door?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Find my kids.
We're closing out the season. There's some, this is where we get into the cost of refurbishing equipment, our motors, things like that, for our mowers. This is where we kind of hope that we don't get creamed on when we service our operational equipment. So we'll see how this shakes out. I will have for next meeting what we did for income, pavilion rentals, picnic sites, where folks came from, percentage of breakdown, how many we did, things like that. Sam is working on that as we close out the year.
Sorry, I didn't look at the packet fully today. Was there a breakdown of the finances attached to the agenda?
No.
For this meeting?
No.
Okay.
Land Water Conservation Fund is the federal grant for the spray park. That is due January 9th. That will have an impact on budgets moving into 26 CPA city funds, whether we do capital improvement, that you can apply for up to 500,000. When I applied for the park grant for this, the person from the state who is in charge of the park grant is also in charge of Land Water Conservation Fund, suggested we go to the federal grant program. And I went to a training in Northborough at the end of November. And right in it says that they are going to fund spray parks and spray park renovations as part of that grant. So I feel pretty confident that we'll put a good proposal together on getting the spray park redone.
So this is through the Land
Water Conservation Fund. Yeah, it's a federal grant.
So that only funds up to 50% of
50%,
projects.
yep.
So where would like the other?
We'd be looking at CPA or city funds, capital improvement. So the city will have to, it's a reimbursement program, same as the park grant. So when you put in for it, the city says we will take the whole enchilada on and then get reimbursed off of it. So there's no surprises when you start funding the project. So we'll have to have funding commitments from whatever, whether it's the mayor's office, capital, free cash, whatever it may be. So we'll have to know it up front.
Just, I'm sure you said it. What was the total amount for that project?
They reimburse up to 500,000.
But
But
the
so we're-
cost of that project, would
You
you?
can get between 500,000 and 600,000.
Okay, thank you.
The numbers I have are slightly outdated, so we'll have to look at refreshing them from when the park grant was submitted. So, but it's gonna be $500,000 easily, and they would do 250 of it, the Land Water Conservation Fund. What I got for budget so far.
That's it? Okay, so the next time on the agenda is related to actually basically what happened in October regarding the visit for the dog park around the Pavilion 3, strangely enough. So I did a little digging.
Are you talking about the park communications?
Yeah,
item?
Park Communications, which is basically related to a request that was made, a suggestion that was talked about on October 23rd regarding the visit of some members of the committee to the Pavilion 3 site. And at the time,
Can I just clarify, because I had asked for this to be on the
Mhm.
agenda, that was just one example of an overall wanting to clarify procedures and rules around communication.
okay, and I feel like I didn't do a very good job of explaining this specific incident, so I went back and did some digging.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to talk about that as part of it. I just wanted to be clear that I have like multiple things that
Okay.
under that heading.
Okay, and I have a couple myself, so.
Great.
So first I want to apologize to Eric, because Eric kind of got brought into the whole, this whole discussion regarding this event. For those of you that, Eric basically visits the park basically like once a week, probably visits, sees John. So when this whole thing happened, it was kind of done in a rather quick fashion. So obviously Eric was probably there, he had heard, and he went and seen the site, because I'm looking at the memo right now. And then I agree 100%, and I take full responsibility. We didn't give a lot of notice because it was kind of something that happened quickly. So we didn't consider it as a formal meeting, so I didn't treat it that way. So that one's on me, but I just want to kind of explain to the committee that there was no plan behind this event at all. Just so you know, like the week before we have a meeting, I visit John and we go over the agenda. So we talk frequently during that week. So it all just kind of came together in that Bill had time. He was going to be there at 9. And so that's kind of how it all went. And if for some reason, I know there was only Jishva and I attended, if for some reason we had more than 3 people that were going, I probably wouldn't have gone, because I could have gone and seen the site with John at any given time. So I just want to kind of clarify what happened with that. I think since then, there is as John has started to do he puts the thing out where we all kind of gives you several dates, and I think we've handled everything since that event better, especially regarding the dog park. So any other information? Well, I have one other thing. So last week, or 2 weeks ago, apparently, and I know this was probably all being done with in an effort to assist the park, but Megan Harvey apparently had a meeting with city officials regarding recreation coordinator. And
There's no meeting yet. It was scheduled.
No,
It was postponed.
Yeah, but it was based,
So-
the email I got was based on a meeting.
Yeah, but. it-
So
yeah.
I can
wasn't
clarify
based
that.
on
So
that.
this all stemmed from a basketball board meeting. The basketball current program is $8,000 in the red, meaning our children will not be able to play if we can't figure out how to make up $8,000 to have them be able to play in a gym that is owned by the city and whatever.
Gotcha.
That sparked Megan, because she's on the school board and has a lot of communication with City Hall, indicated that let me reach out to the mayor and see if there's something that they can do to help the park or to the basketball board, because we want the kids to play and
Gotcha.
if we can't figure this out.
Absolutely right.
That obviously snowballed into discussing that we had mentioned that we want a rec coordinator, somebody that can take over the youth programs as well as any program, pickleball, anything that we want to bring into the park or the city in general. We've mentioned and we've talked about it in the past that this is what we're looking towards. She was told several times that obviously the Parks Commission is the one that's pushing that and she needs to bring it to us. Obviously, in her conversations, it kept being brought up because the City Hall and Connie and them, we've discussed it with them also,
Right.
that we're looking for this. So it was more of just like a generic conversation that has come about. They had their, what did they call it? Kind of like an open meeting, basically. They're at the library. They
Office hours.
Office hours, yes. I was thinking back to college. I was like, wait, what are you doing? They had office hours at the library with Omar and her and Connie. They requested, obviously, basketball to go to discuss, or Jess was representing basketball to discuss in depth what our problem is and where we're at.
Mhm.
She was inquiring, obviously, about soccer, about baseball, about football, what the finances are, how do we fund stuff, what the disconnect is, which obviously I messaged Kira or let Kira know about it as well because I couldn't attend because of practice. And they were just kind of generically bringing up, obviously, because of the fact that all of these expenses are occurring in all the youth programs that are kind of duplicating. So we're all paying for multiple insurance policies for the same kids to play every single sport all year round, or different sports all year round. There's a lot of expenses that are duplicating. And the only way you can identify this is if you're a person like me that's on way too many of the boards, which is why we're trying to bring it to the city to say either take over, have some sort of oversight, because all of these parents are volunteering time. And a lot of this stuff is duplicated that the city could be able to manage better than obviously volunteer programs. So there was no like conspiracy to go around. She was told from the beginning that obviously she needs, whatever she's finding out needs to come to the Parks Commission in general, because we're the ones that obviously are putting this forward. So
It's just the only
I
thing.
believe the email, but the email back in November did have John on it as well to let them know about the
Email I
open
saw
house.
didn't have you on it.
The email chain is on everyone.
Yeah, so I didn't
But it
get
was
her
around
original.
Thanksgiving and
then-
all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I didn't get her original one, then I got the follow-up one.
Okay. That's all.
And then I responded like, love,
Yeah.
I love that it's moving forward. This has been something we've talked about. So,
Yeah, it was basically a meeting of the minds of like the
Okay,
sports
okay.
boards coming together to just speak with city council and being like, hey, this is the problem that we're running into. And them saying, okay, yeah, we do see this. Now let's loop in
Okay.
the rest of the people that would be the ones making this decision, which is obviously what sparked the meeting that still probably won't occur.
Right, because now we have polls on our calendar for 2 days later this week, right? Or is it?
Like it said
I haven't
19th,
seen it.
Supposed to be last week, I thought.
said 19th or something I
Oh,
saw.
was it?
Yeah,
yeah,
I thought
there's
it
a
was-
19th,
I
but
thought
there's no, there's
19th
been
and
no,
20th,
there's
but
been no
nothing.
Google invite like for your,
No.
like, that's where I get them, like,
Yeah.
it's like, here's your Google invite. Boom.
Yeah, the initial at
Those
the
were
library
proposed
was,
dates in the email.
In the email.
But it wasn't
There was
confirmed.
19th.
Yeah, 'cause the mayor just got
Attend.
back from
Right,
vacation.
they were going to like
today, so
hold these
I'm not
dates
sure.
and
Yeah.
we'll see if we can get it.
so
Everything
obviously
else.
I spoke with Megan at the opening of basketball on Saturday and there was still no confirmation of response, so.
Okay. All right.
So regardless,
Thank you for clarifying.
Yes.
yeah, it's good that there's gonna be communication regarding moving this type of position forward. I've talked to Omar, JT from Little League, Brian from soccer for years, there's gotta be there's gotta be 3 sports jumping in and I always envision the camp director being a part of this. So it's a full-time seasonal position year round. You have a coordination between all 3 sports and they're doing camp stuff in the summertime as well. And they're in our office and doing that type of work. So,
Yeah, I believe the presentation was to try and get all the boards together with the mayor, with John, with the city council to explain what we each do and what we're looking for assistance with. So it wouldn't be necessarily you need to run the entire thing. It's just, this is what we're struggling with or what we need the assistance of the actual city on versus.
Well, thank you for clarifying, because that's like emails I saw
I'll pick
kind
up
of
on
confused me a little bit, as you'd say.
Yeah.
So other than that, those are my only things with Park Communications, unless there's something else we want to
Eric.
delve into. Eric?
Yeah, I guess I just want to go back to the initial point or the initial what Andy brought up initially. And the reason why I abstained from approving the minutes of that October meeting is that, it's now stated in the minutes and it's part of the public record that I was given privileged information over other commissioners. That's why I didn't approve those minutes, but I wasn't going to, get into a debate when we had much bigger fish to fry tonight. Kara, I hope that you know that like 90 to 95% of my work in life is done on behalf of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the fact that it's now documented that I was given privileged information is actually when all of my efforts are to not, when all of my like kind of credo in life is to not operate like that. That was kind of hurtful to me, and I just want that to be stated that I don't know where that came from, and I'm kind of gobsmacked. So that's all I'm going to say, and let's move on.
Well, I would like to make sure that I look at the words that I used. I don't remember writing that you had privileged information, that I felt, and that I said this, that I wasn't saying that you had done anything wrong. And I'm not even saying that John did anything wrong. I just said I want clarity around the procedures. When there's only 3 spots for commissioners to attend a walkthrough, looking at the proposed dog park location, and John sends an email to the entire commission and says, I already talked to Eric and Andy. Andy's gonna go, Eric can't make it. That leaves 2 spots. I felt like that wasn't a fair way to present the information because not all the commissioners had the same opportunity to attend. And so, again, I do not feel like it was meant to be like excluding people on purpose. I don't feel like it was that it was an unkind thing to do. I think it was busy. He had conversations and then put it out there. And I think that it's important as a commission to look at our rules and regulations are how do we communicate information with each other? How does information get shared or not shared, and in what way does that happen? I don't see it as like I'm trying to say someone did something bad or wrong. I'm just saying I didn't agree with how that was presented. I don't think it was fair or equitable to give favor to 2 people before giving it to the entire commission. And I would just like to be thoughtful about that and moving forward.
Eric, I should probably clarify. Eric was in my office when this all went down. He's in my office at least once a week, if not more. So it wasn't like, hey, Eric, I need you to go down. So it was just, he happened to be there and he's like, oh yeah, I saw Bill down there flagging it out. It was just, one of those, that's how it rolled.
Nope.
And there's another who's in my office all the time, checking in, and Brian lives right next door. So he's walking his dog or popping in and just, hey, see what's going on. So it was kind of like one of those things where they just come, people are in my office all the time, just like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, oh, Bill's down there flagging out an area. Oh, okay, I'll go and take a look.
Which I understand, but
Yeah.
do you understand how it?
I understand. I just want to let you know, it wasn't like trying to,
And I don't-
trying to sideswipe anybody. It was just-
I didn't feel that way, but I do feel like, all the commissioners should be given equal opportunity to attend something that you had said only 3 people could attend. I don't know how
I
others
think that
feel
was the
about this.
challenging piece of that was because
We didn't want to do it as
we
a
didn't want to
formal
do it
meeting.
as a meeting, but then what happened, the flip side of that is when you see that, and I saw it too, but I saw it like too late. I didn't see it until the next morning or something. And, but when you read, but only 3 people can come, then it feels like it was a content, who got it first, or, you know what I mean? Like it was exclusionary instead of inclusive.
And my thing was make sure to invite a public meeting.
Right, and I think
And that's
that-
why I was like, I don't want 4 here, because then it's a quorum, and now we're in together in the park at a quorum, so that's why I was 3. So that's why we rectified it with that Friday night meeting, we had the open meeting or whatever, so,
So, and just to be clear, I'm reading the memo right now, the memo didn't say Eric and I were both going. The memo says Eric has already seen the site. So there was only one commissioner that's already seen it.
But he offered it to Eric before.
no, Eric was actually in my office.
That's
That's
not
not
true.
true.
Kara, that's not true. That's not true. And if you want to say the 2 commissioners had privileged information, I don't think that Jishva had privileged opportunity, but by your definition, Jishva had more privileged opportunity than I did. I just had already seen the spot. I was never gonna go. I don't know why you're saying that I had an inside angle.
Okay, I think we can argue about this for the next,
But-
hour.
I think we're ready to
But-
move on.
I
and
think
make
we
sure
Well,
we have-
it's not even about that. No, I'm not ready to move on. So not about that. I don't care about the dog park anymore. Obviously, that's moved on. But I guess it's more along the lines of, and this is again, I'm trying to understand this whole commission thing in government in Easthampton anyways. Obviously, there's no other questions today, but it's kind of that information thing. Obviously, they're going down to visit you and, because of proximity, because of whatever reason, they see you more. And it's one of the things that I see throughout Easthampton in general. It's like who you know, like certain programs within the youth department are getting certain things because of who they know. And that's not equitable, not on purpose. Obviously, that's life in general. If I see you more, I'm going to get more information. But sometimes that might come off of or how do we make it so that all the information is going out to everybody, even with that meeting the other day with the safety commission or whatever, like, is there some way to avoid the meeting problems or the laws, but to still get the information out to the entire commission so we're all aware of something that's going on? Because it might be an instance that I'm going to come in and sign something and be like, oh, hey, this just happened, and we just don't even think about it. And then I say something to somebody else and I go, why didn't he tell me? And it's like, it's not a conspiracy, but it's just because I saw you that day,
Yeah.
which it is, it's useful information that all of us should have. And it's the same as like when we went to that meeting and they're bringing up the comments from Facebook. And it's like, well, what are these comments? Because we're not going to know as a commission if there's any issues with the park unless it's brought to us. So how do we get that information without popping into the office to say, hey, what's your headache for the day? Because obviously we have full-time jobs and families and we can't be doing that every day.
I mean,
But I don't know if there is a way
I'm
to
in-
do that,
I'm in
avoiding the
line of
laws.
sight. I would have to give an email every day, I feel like, you
Yeah.
know, where that particular area, I didn't even know an email went out to go see it. I happen to be in the park because I'm in there every day. I saw it staked out, so I took it upon myself to look at it myself.
But I think like my point, I guess, is separate from this whole dog park thing. It's the same as like coming in and being like, oh, Carolyn, you're on this, you're going to represent the board on this. And it's like, wait, I didn't even know that was even a thing. And now we're saying these two members are going to be the ones that are going there. I guess that's the part that, again, I'm
Okay.
still trying to figure all this
Okay, I
out,
see what
but
you're saying, yeah. So we have to be
Which, I
more
mean-
cognizant of being more inclusive.
I guess I don't know how like communication is able to be disseminated to everybody without actually being in an actual meeting. You know what I mean? Like
But is
all
At the end of
other,
the day, I have
all
to-
other
I'm
boards
paid
and
to do the
everything I'm a
job.
part of,
Like,
we
I have to
have.
manage this
Right.
whole thing.
course.
So, you know, when there's hot topics, like when we have the steering committee, you know, we're gonna give a quick little update on it, but it's, you know, there's day-to-day activities that maybe I just don't think
What's relevant?
or not relevant, but you know, who wants to be invited to everything I go to? You know, because if you want to, I have 3 meetings last week at night and I have 3 meetings this week at night. And you're more than all welcome to come and coach basketball and do everything else you do as well. So I will try to figure out a way to make sure. I try to make sure if there's a hot topic issue that everybody's aware of it. So when there's something out in the public, and I do the same thing with the mayor and Omar, city council president, if there's something I know that's coming down the pipeline, I make sure you guys know and you're ahead of it. When it's the day-to-day operations, you know, this is, you know, I've been here 15 years. This is what I do. I try to sail the ship.
And can I just offer one final thing? Like, I think it was Desiree who was talking. There's nothing that drives me more bananas about Easthampton than like the back room, like, oh, you have to know someone to know someone. I get that. I
Yeah,
completely.
I'm a transplant, so it doesn't work for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, believe me, my wife is from Texas, and she's like, this town is bunkers, and Massachusetts is bunkers that you all allow this to happen. So I just want it to be stated that I recognize that, and I respect that, and just please understand that, like in this particular instance, like that was not, and I will always fight for, you know, against like backroom stuff.
And
I
when
hope that's understood.
one of the things I'll do is like when Bill comes, I'll say, Bill, we can't meet tomorrow at 10 because it's short notice. You know, can you make it next week? I'll get it out to the commission and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So that's fine. I mean, people are used to delaying when you're dealing with city government. So it's another week.
May
Right, JP? No comment?
I just wanna add-
Kira, thank and just like please, like I respect you. I think the world of you, and I apologize if this has gotten a little contentious.
It's contentious.
So what I wanted to say is I think that it's important to recognize that this is a good problem that we're having right now, because what I see is a group of really engaged commissioners, and many of us are new, and so we're trying to learn, and so like the desire to have information and to have sort of understand what our role is as a commissioner I see that as a good thing.
Sure.
And I think that there's a lot of opportunity, and I appreciate Kira sees things in a way that, you know, I just sort of wouldn't even necessarily think about it in that way all the time, but I'm thankful for you to see where we can improve in our procedures and in just communication in general as a commission. So I'm sorry, like I feel badly that people's feelings are, you know, hurt, but at the same time, I think that that's great because it shows that people care.
Right.
So
So
I actually, I don't feel like it's just on John to like solve this problem. I think it would be helpful for a lot of different reasons to have like a subcommittee work on like rules and regulations for the park commission. I think one, it would set clear communication guidelines. It would help us like identify our vision more clearly and kind of what our responsibility is as commissioners. And I also think that, a lot of committees do this. I know the CPA has, it's just like a 3 to 4 page document that just helps outline the things that the commission does. And I think as new commissioners, I really would have appreciated a like little bit more than here is the packet of open meeting law. Have fun. Good luck. Thank you for your service. And it feels like in order to do a good job, we need more information, like about more than just open meeting law. And I think that it would be helpful for anyone new coming, and it would help us to reflect on what is going well. What do we want to solidify in a document that's clear for everybody? And are there other ways that we can improve things? I know I've emailed Andy and John previously about even just our agendas and having it be a little more clear of what is on the agenda. And I know you said you looked at other, committees and boards in the city and that were similar to what they're doing. I would argue that everybody should shift because open meeting law dictates that agendas have to be clear so that someone who isn't on the commission, we don't write agendas for us, we write them for the public. And one example is we've had, dog parks at Nonotuck Park on our agenda how many times? In the past several months. And at each meeting, there's been a little bit different lens that we're doing. Like we looked at one proposal at one, we looked at another proposal at another. Tonight, there was a potential vote on it. And those things should be outlined in the agenda based on open meeting law. And I feel like a subcommittee could really educate themselves, work with someone on the city council maybe to just clarify that a little bit. I mean, the whole like flag thing that came up, I know it was on Facebook and not everyone saw it, but someone wrote, can someone clarify what does flag over Nashuanic Pond mean? What is that about? And I think that we have an obligation to the citizens to inform them so that they can decide, do I need to be at this meeting or not? So I would really advocate for having a subcommittee who can really focus on some of these things and we can feel better that we're being more clear and more inclusive of the public in that.
So, so I guess I can ask for a motion.
I think as the chair, you can just
you can just create
identify
a
a subcommittee and ask for who might want to be on it.
Can I ask a quick question? Again, still trying to figure it out. So like with the public safety thing, good job. But so did they ask you to go or did you say, hey, I want to present this to you?
I sent them a letter
Okay.
requesting that I'd be on their agenda to
Okay.
discuss that.
Because I'm wondering if it's like with some of that stuff, again, it shouldn't be, you have to run the park. So I get, obviously you can't be like, hey, by the way, this is what I'm doing on this hour. And then this half hour, I'm going to do this different. But I'm wondering if it kind of gets that ownership of all these other subcommittees that like, I feel like they should have reached out to the Parks Commission to be like, hey, like this is, I don't know if it would be them that would be reaching out to us or something. Like, how do we get notified that there's these presentations besides obviously the 17 emails that come through of here's the agenda and going into each meeting that's occurring in the government. Does that make sense? I don't think.
Yeah, government is confusing.
Yeah, I think wasn't it in the minutes?
We
We discussed it, what the date would be.
discussed it. I didn't think there was a date though. Was there a date? Did I just miss the
I don't
date?
know if there was a date or not.
I remember you brought it up. I don't remember if it was a date, but it was more of just that one I remember, but I know like there's been other times that like things have been brought up and it's just like, it would be nice for them to, I don't know, include us I mean, again, the whole Megan thing, like I brought up several times, I'm like, you need to include the Parks Commission. That's why I think they were thinking me going there. I was going there more for basketball and soccer, but I think they were including me. And then when I wasn't going to be there when they were doing that side meeting, that's why I reached out to Kira, like, can you at least go because you'll be able to verify what I've been saying of you need to include this group because we are the ones that are presenting it. So I think, I got
So do I have anyone interested in being on a subcommittee to work on?
Well, I feel like since I proposed additional work, I should at least volunteer to do some of that work.
I mean, I can certainly help since I'm the one that has a lot of questions on what we're supposed to be doing
All right. Anyone else?
or how. Thanks, Scott.
Well, I've got two people. Thank you. So, all right, thank you very much. So are we good with park communication now? We want to talk about this one?
I have one follow-up question, because I attended my first CPA meeting, when the pickleball group was going. And then everyone, it was a very well-attended meeting, so there were all
I
the
noticed.
people. They kind of said their, who they were and like their role. So you were like, I'm the Parks and Commission, like representative, and some were board reps and some were appointed. And so I'm just wondering like how you came to be in that role and how many terms
I got
are
voluntold.
there and, okay. Who did
No,
you
I
get
was, no, I got,
voluntold?
He got nominated.
I got nominated.
By, after, one of the commissioners, John Sheehan, who served, was the original, member of CPA as Park and Rec Commission.
Okay.
And then when he was unable to serve, due to health issues, the commission at that point, nominated Andy
So I've been
to
on
do
the board
that. So he's been
since.
doing it,
And so how many years is that?
Geez, 10?
yeah, at least 7, 8, yeah. I forget how long ago John has passed away.
John was a good guy.
Yeah,
John was also
should
the
probably go to
secretary,
his,
that's why I became the secretary.
Sheehan Field is named after him.
Oh, okay. See, transfer.
And so it's,
I keep hearing all these.
so I think there are 3-year terms or whatever. So like after 3 years, like, do you come to the commission and say, does anyone
I
want
have not
to?
been, but maybe the subcommittee is gonna say I have to.
Yeah,
I'm just
I think
curious, like how
John-
each, I've asked, like I asked,
I haven't.
how like other boards have done it and it seems like there's no
There
clear
is no
path. And so I was just curious.
Pretty much
about it.
everyone
the
that's on
commission
there-
would nominate someone, just like, vice president or president of, chair, vice chair and chair. So that's how.
Volunteer
and then it's-
positions can work that way, elected positions.
So yeah, we have never, to be clear, that's never been open for nomination. I've been doing it.
We also might never have had anybody being like, can I please do this? Right? I'm
Probably
assuming.
a couple people have been interested.
I think you've been nominated every 3 years.
Have I been? Oh, I don't remember. See, that's all.
Yeah,
my brain.
you've been nominated and approved.
Okay.
I did look through the notes and I couldn't find it because I was trying to figure out how it happened.
Yeah.
So it's
And
not in the
obviously I
notes
don't
since
recall it, so.
2020. So I don't know what year you're on in your.
I don't know when must be getting up pretty soon then.
I can check with Barb.
That's exactly though, as you come in as a new commissioner, you don't, like, I had no idea that you were a representative CPA for, it's just it's a complex web.
Yeah, it's a lot of on-the-job training and
Which is, this year has been a little challenging.
You don't know what you don't
Yeah,
know
really
until it
challenging
happens.
And I think
15
you
or
all.
20 years I've been on this
Yeah,
board.
and I think that's what, like, maybe you guys have just taken that for granted just because like you've been here so long, you know that it didn't even occur to you to like share that because that's just how it's been. And so I think a lot of our questions are just like, you guys have this information, but like, where did it come from? Like, how did we get that? And so that's why I just feel like this is important.
Okay. Are we good? For park?
So we're on the new subcommittee. Nobody else
Congratulations.
wants to
Down
do
the
it?
rabbit hole we go, Kira.
Happy
Can
to
I,
add
can I
like help, but I just
maybe
don't have that
invite,
time.
you or Eric, who have been on the commission longer, like if we're gonna meet just to ask questions and clarify, because I
Anytime.
feel like you have that historical knowledge that we won't have. So
a
maybe
good
our
idea.
first meeting, we
Yeah,
can
I'm
come up with
I'm the old man on the mountain.
questions.
Yeah, he's definitely
Okay.
the old man on the mountain.
I'm the old man on the mountain for this.
Yeah,
one.
and some of it just to make one more point on the communication, like obviously the public safety thing, like my main one to go on there was also just to back you. I mean, just
Yeah.
to say like, he's coming to you because we are all in agreement that this needs to be done. So a lot of it too, I mean, again, we all have.
That's why I sent the reminder, because I know you were interested.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, just stuff like that obviously if things are being presented, it would be nice to know just because sometimes it's a united front. And if they see that the entire commission is there, whether we need to be or not,
Right.
then,
Look what it did for pickleball.
right? It's true. It's It's just that support kind of like, this is what we want to do.
Of course, they had paddles, so that kind of scared them.
It's scary. Anyways, moving on.
All right.
There were-
So
it
at
was,
this point, we can move on to facilities?
So maintenance facility, maintenance building, the EDM studio contract, purchase order was pulled today and they were getting the signatures. And that's looking at the overall, park as what is needed, for everything within the park. Still waiting on the containers. They still haven't arrived. And I was expecting them last week. And then demo, the maintenance building asbestos report came back and the maintenance building is fine on asbestos. So they're continuing to go down that road to get rid of it.
Good thing mold doesn't count.
Exactly. So I still haven't got an official time frame for them, but I've seen the report and they're moving, they're making progress on that. So, this does give us a little time to bring our equipment in while we still have the garage, and get stuff done on that. So if it does lead a little bit into the middle of January, it'll help us in the long run on that end. Pickleball expansion, CPA approved it on to city council, finance, and then city council, for final approval, probably looking at the end of January for bid docs, by the time the whole cycle gets pushed through. So we should potentially be looking at closing the bid mid-March, and then we'll see what contractors come up with in pricing and all that fun stuff. But the finances are in good shape for that. We hope. Park entrance, Daily Field, went to public safety last week. They want to do a public outreach on January 14th. So we'll be on public safety's agenda again on the 14th. And we'll talk about whether it's going to be postcards, flyers, getting the information out to folks about how this change is going to happen. There's a lot of parts on this. One of the things I've come up with is getting GPS coordinates to figure out for sending people the wrong way, but talking with sports leagues and getting them pickleball, things like that. When we start, I'm thinking about doing like orange, like almost construction signs, like, new traffic pattern, starting next year or in the fall, whatever it may be, like, be prepared. Like April 1st, next year, Daily Field, reverse direction. It's like, so basically a whole year of giving people
I know.
January 14th is not a meeting. It's just a.
it's a
We were
meeting for
trying,
public
but not-
safety and it's on their agenda and they're just gonna make
Town
sure
come first.
they're gonna have the town, so it'll be posted for
Yeah.
letting. So planning is the one who can target an area like your neighborhood and
Right.
say, okay, this is
Change.
how it'll cost $300 to send postcards. Let them know that there is a outreach meeting at public safety to discuss Daily Field reverse direction.
How do you get like Waze or Google?
That's what I don't know.
How does that all work?
There's-
So, yeah, so the way it works, at least for soccer, when we send out the message, we indicate like, this is the entrance. So it would be a matter of just when it gets sent to all the other towns, it will say like Nonotuck Park entrance is on Williston Ave or whatever.
Like the Waze.
We're talking GPS and
Yeah.
Waze, we're talking the apps and all, when you put it into your phone, when you put it into your phone, they're not gonna know what we changed the directions.
I wonder how
I
that.
think you have to
Somebody
just,
has to
yeah, you
know
have to.
that.
Yeah,
let
so there's a process of informing Google
Yeah,
apps.
the
and
entrance is now at
everything
this
else that
location
there's
instead of
gonna-
Williston.
90% of the
that's-
people coming out of town.
And that's
probably
part of the
don't know
reason
Waze, right?
why I want the
Have their
public
phone
safety
tell them where to go.
committee and the city involved, because it's going
Do
to
that
be
in town.
city to help push that process through to reverse that direction and for signage, because there's gonna be new
It's
signs have to be
pretty
set
quick,
up.
though, once you figure out I mean,
Some GPSs are
so-
taking you into the exit right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
So
mean,
when
you just have to notify the company of like, this is the new address that you're typing it. You know what I mean? Like when we send it, like to your point, when I could go onto Game Changer right now, when I'm going to South Hadley, it gives the address. So if we put the address
Yeah,
on
Everybody's gonna give
top,
Brian's
whatever,
address.
yeah, we're gonna get Brian's address and it will automatically bring you to that
Get to
location
his house,
first.
take a right.
One
I mean,
day.
it's a huge issue.
So
I put
clarification.
up my own signs. I made up
Yeah.
illegal signs and put them up.
Yeah.
Everyone goes down.
Yeah, it's gonna be a major learning curve
Yeah.
for folks.
So the timeline on that though, originally at the meeting that I attended, the conversation was that we would be able to potentially do this for the April the
Oh,
opening.
there's no way we'd be able to get it done for April of changing the direction. We still have to get the city engineers to finish the plans, and they just rehired a person. So they're finally fully staffed to come in and do the design work for into the park, to put the toll booth into the park. So it's gonna be, if we decide April 1st to flip the direction, when you see how many people come from all over, that have come
Well,
to the
there
park
has
for
to
They're gonna
30
do
years.
that no matter what, whether we do it April 1st or in the fall, somebody's gonna show up the wrong way and there's gonna be a sign that says detour, you gotta turn around and cut through.
The question is how many people are gonna show up?
Yeah, when we start getting into this full season
Soft
of
opening though,
of-
it's gonna
of-
be.
rentals for picnic and pavilion.
Yeah, I just would push
Pool
back a
rentals.
little
Yeah.
to say that what committee was it? Were you there? Some of
Yeah,
the
that one we
other
haven't got,
commissions-
yeah.
It was
the
safety.
November
Safety
meeting.
was they were very confident that this would be something that we could accomplish before the spring. So I only say that because when we've talked before
they
about
did-
the traffic and
yeah.
the problems with the booth and the people waiting all the way back to the light, like that's not gonna change without us changing the direction unless we have a completely different staffing pattern, which you've said in the past wasn't a possibility. So I feel like as a commissioner, it's not, it just doesn't feel right to kick the can down the road without like some
We have to get the
accommodation.
toll booth into the park. That's,
Oh,
because if we
yes.
put the toll booth out, because I was originally thinking maybe put it out by our office.
Yeah.
People are gonna come in the other way like they've always done, driven forever, and drive straight in the park without paying at all. We have to get the toll booth into the park first.
Gotta be
That has to be the first thing that has to go in, or else it's not going to work whatsoever. Putting the toll booth where it is, you can't have it there because people are coming this way now. So even if you move it 50 feet beforehand, they're just gonna drive in and go right into, they're gonna skip by the toll booth.
If we are putting it into the park, then what are the benefits of reversing the direction?
It'll still help because you get backed up into the park.
I would measure
It's
the
the
distance.
crossing of
In the crossing of,
coming out
exactly, when you're still
versus coming
crossing,
in.
you're leaving the park this way and you're still crossing
Like,
traffic.
Yeah,
But you're still, to be honest with you, you're still gonna have, if you've got 50 cars coming into the park at 8 AM for a soccer game, pickleball, you're still gonna have a line.
At least they're gonna be lined up inside the
They'll just
park.
be lined up inside the park.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, we're gonna save,
Two lanes.
we're gonna
too.
save,
Well, the 2 lane thing's another challenge though, right?
we think we can get it with the preliminary sketch from Dan before he left the city, was we think we can get a second.
before that first left,
It's right at that, just past that.
that's where it has to be, yeah.
Yeah, it's right there, exactly. So it's right there, so you create that space that
Turn
that
people around.
DPW has that extra between our driveway and DPW's driveway. In between those two, they mapped it out that you could get a wider radius put in there and still have the toll booth and have a 1-lane exit. You would still be fine. So
Still a challenge.
there's just flipping the switch and turning a
Yeah.
one-way sign around is
Well,
not
then what I
gonna
wish-
solve it.
What I would respectfully request then is that as a commission, we come up with a solution for how we can try to alleviate this for next year. If this is not gonna be for next year, then let's
Will it be
put
fall
our,
is
let's
what
put our
we
minds
were-
together and come
Yeah, I'm
up with
hoping for fall.
something.
So you're assuming
will
we'd be hitting
help.
that fall season.
I'm
we'd be
hoping for
able to
fall.
Flip it by that.
Yes, I'm hoping
Officially
for
flip it
fall.
by the fall season. So really it would be the spring.
Like
season.
right after the pool closes, September
Maybe-ish.
1st, and try to get it for the
But I
fall.
also thought there was some comment about it might not be perfect at first, like we might not have the full 2 lanes or whatever, but
It
we
might
might be
not
able to
be.
flip it earlier than the fall and then do the expansion and stuff like that.
The key is still getting the toll booth inside the park. That's the thing. And DPW, I don't want to promise their resources, but it's something they said that they could handle. And
Yeah.
so very little cost, for us to get that toll booth down in there.
But it'd also be, I mean, again, if we're kind of doing that 1-lane exit, it could also be just putting barriers across, obviously, the road that you can drive into. You'd put the barriers that if somebody comes around, this is a dead end, you can't, and you're maybe you're gonna get the one-off that's gonna go around the barrier, but then you can obviously
Well, there's
involve the
already a
police if you
gate
need to,
there
but.
that they close in the winter.
But she's
But
talking
it
about-
doesn't,
she's
I
talking
just
about
mean
the
you
main
could just shut that
Yeah,
one
on
lane
the
down
main
that's
drag.
entering
They
and
do.
still have the exit that way.
Yeah. that's-
Doesn't it go across?
People will still come in the wrong
People
way.
are gonna look up and see 16 cars over there.
That
They're gonna
goes
go right around.
across,
But
like,
at the
where
end of the
playground
day, that's the
like,
cost. I
things
think
like
that,
this.
like,
Yeah, but I just mean like you
here's,
could.
if I was gonna tell you what 95% of the people tell me about Nonotuck, it's that they sit in traffic to try to get in, and they're always late for whenever they're trying to get there. And I just think that it's
The
something
dog
that,
parkers are gonna be real late now, because 8 o'clock, they said Saturday's gonna be the busiest day.
So they
I
can
think
still
part of that's
easily just
scheduled
move it
too,
here.
right? Like,
Yeah, you just put cones
Yeah, you're
across
not
the
helping-
lanes.
you don't
I see
help
it, I watch it, right?
And then you still
Yeah.
have
During the
this,
morning, that you have
and you might come around and go, I gotta
16,
put it.
17 games going on
right,
at
So what's the
noon,
option of if they don't
5,
right.
right? So I think.
No, I agree. But it can,
Schedule.
and it can be
License plate,
scheduling
because then
staffing
that
to
big
help
of a deal.
accommodate those.
Yeah, well, that's the other part is you bring staff in for an hour.
But if that's what we need to do to take care of the problem for next year, because we can't fix the
Yeah, I mean,
problem in a
ideally,
more
if
meaningful
normal
way,
things that
like,
come around, oh, this isn't.
to
Yeah, that'd be
me, like, I
There
think
could be a
we need to
sign.
look
Yeah, I
at
get
it creatively.
Rid of my head.
I know.
It is right up your alley.
Wanna
It's
like,
going to be a problem
some
with the traffic
design,
over the
yeah.
next couple of years, but.
Sounds good.
Hey, everyone.
Okay.
I would imagine.
Hey,
Um,
everyone, there's a lot of crosstalk happening. Could we just like, and I think just for
Absolutely.
now, I can't really hear.
Yeah.
Like, have one person talk at a time. I'm really sorry.
Well, you're good. You're right.
We're sorry.
You're right. We forget sometimes, sorry.
Yeah,
we'll get
no
more
worries.
information
No
After
worries.
the outreach on 14th, maybe the neighborhood's gonna say, we don't want it. And then we'll have to figure it out from there.
All right, so I think, are we okay with the park entrance now? We've been around it.
So
I'm not in
that
the
next meeting's
express
the
lane, I'm in the
14th.
slow one.
New City Steering Committee, we should have preliminary designs for the commission, probably, I don't think the January meeting's gonna happen based on some of my most recent meetings. For the February meeting, of getting an understanding of what the steering committee, what can be done maintenance-wise, resources. There's been a lot of good discussions, with the steering committee, the neighborhood, and a lot of folks from our design team and the city regarding that. So we should see something. So the commission, I would say probably the February meeting, based on what I've been hearing lately. So
And
look
is there
for
an
that.
action for the committee at that February meeting?
At the end of the day, it's going to be looking at what the steering committee and basically putting a rubber stamp on it to move forward. There's going to be another public outreach in the spring before it goes to full design, but this group is going to have a bite at the apple for that design if there's concerns. But there is representation on this group. And Eric both live in that neighborhood. They're both on the steering committee. They've been at the meetings, asked great questions. And so that was part of the reason to have two commission members from that neighborhood on that committee to make sure that there's a feel moving forward for the commission. So, but yeah, there will be an opportunity definitely to look at it and if there's any major concerns, but we feel that we've got a good feedback from the steering committee and the neighborhood regarding what they're looking for that area.
Yeah, and on the committee level, I will just say like it's going to be awesome. And I feel like there's a number of neighborhood folks who are also on the committee with Jishva and I, and there's been a few outreach events. There's been little things that like, okay, like I don't have kids. What do the people who are parents who are on this committee think about various things? It's been a lot of really good interactions, and we're really excited for what it's going to be and positively impact our neighborhood.
Well said.
Well said. Anything else on the new city?
Nope, you'll see stuff coming up. Things are moving pretty quick on that.
Main Street improvement?
Main Street, probably won't see some design stuff until spring. There'll be another community outreach. Some of the preliminary stuff was sent to Mass DOT, and because it's a state road, they have review. They can say, nope, take that out of it. No, we don't like that. You gotta put a different crosswalk in. There's a lot of things that involve with that. So there'll be a little less, it'll be more for information for this commission. There's not gonna be, because the design of the park is, as it sits, is staying.
Yeah, so
as
what
designed.
exactly is our involvement in it?
Just because
They can't
it's,
touch the park.
they can't touch the park, it's just because it goes around the park and there's talk of connecting a little more green space next to the park if they go, if they shorten up the
Yeah, I've seen
one
some of the
side.
designs.
So there's some things that include the park, but not really.
But the overall size of the park will.
The overall
will be-
size of the
will-
park,
will be the same or larger, basically.
Yeah, it will not be, they cannot cut into any part of the park.
And
They
is
can
this
only,
due to historical designation? I just-
chapter 97.
What's
So
that?
that's,
Chapter 97.
Which is
which is park, when it's designated park property, it's in perpetuity. And you cannot touch it to try to put a roadway in there without legislative approval. It's same with the park grant for the boardwalk here. That's a park grant. They can't do anything. They can't decide, you know what, we're gonna make something different. No, it's park grant for forever. So the city can't turn around and say, that's a good piece of property. We could probably sell that. No, it's there forever.
But they can say, take that cable down.
Oh, jeez. Can I answer? So
Sure.
just when you said, the overall size of the park will be the same or larger, could they close one street, of the Rotary and expand the park?
So what
Because I just know I went to a meeting a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
and that
so
was thrown
there's
out
talk
there.
where they could take, instead of being two roads and, instead of in
Yes.
front of East Hampton
It would be
Saving,
like a T.
bring them down to one lane, speed bumps to reduce speed going around it and creating crosswalks.
I think there's a website, right?
There is,
And they have at least three designs on it.
it's on the planning departments, but I don't know if any of this new stuff is on there.
It's crazy.
But yeah, the goal is to slow traffic, create safer pedestrian crosswalks. And if there's anything that could be added for green space, that's a possibility too. So, but they cannot take away any green space.
Do they need special permission to expand it?
No.
Okay.
They just can't
Can't
make it any smaller. Okay,
Because if they put like a sidewalk, I don't want to get too much into the weeds here, but if they put a sidewalk and just create a green space, it would just be city property. It wouldn't be park property necessarily if they went sidewalk, green space, and then, parking spaces or whatever. It wouldn't be technically ours.
okay, with that, old and continue, we have any old and continuing business?
Well, I guess I will throw one piece of continuing or new business. I just would like everyone on the commission to save the date of June 14th, 2025. That is the 100th anniversary of the dedication of Daly Field. And I have been in communication with the mayor and John as far as creating some sort of event to commemorate that. I hope you all will contribute and at least be there. I think it's going to be a really great event, and Daly Field is wonderful and awesome. And happy holidays to all of you, I guess.
Yeah, so in January, and Eric and I we're going to try to get this on an agenda sooner, but with everything that's gone on the last couple months, I told him we should push it up to January, but it's the anniversary of Daly Field. Eric's family, donated that property 100 years ago.
My great uncle, it was named for.
That's what it's named for. So, we'll on the next meeting, we'll have an agenda item to kind of lay out what we're thinking, what we want to do, and do something to celebrate Daly Field.
June 14th?
June 14th.
That's also Flag Day.
It is Flag Day.
Save the date. It's gonna be
Ironic.
So thank you, Eric, for
Thank you, Eric.
reminding me on that.
I have one question. because I attended the CPA meeting. There was a list of like old or ongoing projects, and the one about the bathrooms at Daly Field, the old stone house. Just where is that at? And
Still waiting from the Pioneer Valley Planning for the historical national designation. It got kicked because there was too much work done on the field itself, because we tried to get it for Daly Field, but it wasn't intact from the original state, so it got shrunk down to just the building. And then now they've added the stone building from the cemetery, so it has been a long process, yes, of that. But so yes, that's why I don't want to give that money back at this point, yeah, because
do we know when
hopefully
we'll hear from, like, is there a timeline?
It's been in there for
a couple of years, 3 years now.
It's been a while.
Oh,
But
it's
they'll
been-
send me an update, like, this is the pictures we sent, this is, I got kicked back, this is what I'm sending to them now. And so it's quite the process. And they're doing Pioneer Valley's affordable option for municipalities to resource to do this type of planning work, especially when we were down so many folks in the planning department.
Okay, so let me just clarify. Daly Field was included in that
In the original.
but it's not because it had been changed since the original.
Yeah, so it
Didn't qualify.
didn't, the whole Daly Field did not qualify as a national registry for historical because of all the improvements through the years, but the building itself still does.
Still in
Question.
pristine.
Does Daly Field encompass the varsity baseball as well, or is it just that softball? It is that whole grass area? I was always curious.
Yeah, the whole upper area.
All right, is there anything
Road to
else we're holding
Brian's
continuing?
Backyard. To the high school.
Can't be touched.
Nope, going once, going twice. So can we look at, possibility for the next meeting?
Sure, I have a ton of
And can I
availability.
throw out again that we choose a continuing date, month to month, like
I agree.
the second whatever or third
Yeah.
whatever?
100%.
Um,
So typically it is a Wednesday, and John kind of dictated to your Wednesdays. What do your Wednesdays look like?
We've been doing what, the third Wednesday, right?
We've been doing the third, but does the third is interfering with city council, so we've been kind of trying to get around.
But I don't think next, where they go, they're 2 and 4, right? So the third,
I thought there were 1 and
So
3.
or they're
third-
1 and 3?
So
I
if
think that's why we.
Oh, so we can go 2 or 4.
Yeah.
you want to do the, you want to do,
better than 4.
yeah, you want to do the 8th? I'm not going to be here till the 22nd, so.
Me
I'm
neither.
going to be in Switzerland.
22nd, so yeah.
We can,
I'll be in Turner's Falls,
We
so
can-
just like similar.
Oh, actually, to be honest with you, I'll swap with you.
Sure.
So Wednesday, January 8th is what we're talking about?
I don't know which.
Wednesday, January 8th. Is that
Now
gonna be
and
okay
then.
for you with budgets, John? Because that's usually part of
Ironically,
the.
I haven't even got the budget
The
letter
only day of the week I am.
from there. We have not received anything,
Just
so.
Sorry,
So-
just a question. Given that the first Wednesday of January is January 1st, is the assumption that city council would not be meeting on the second Wednesday?
Yeah, but I think what we're looking at is if they're gonna be, we can't build our schedule completely around theirs. I'd rather, if they're consistently first and third, I'd rather just say we're
So
second.
they're probably gonna go
We-
8 and 22nd that month, right?
I don't wanna dance, yeah, but I don't wanna dance.
Got it.
Dance around those guys.
And I think it's fine if there's sometimes overlap because they've had to shift, but I think if we
Right.
have a consistent.
Okay,
Does the 15th work for everybody?
the 8th does work for me.
You're saying at least for January, if we
Yeah.
know that they're probably gonna be.
So I
Are we
haven't
gonna
even
offer-
seen the budget letter yet.
We can offer virtual as well.
Yeah.
So are we looking at,
For the 8th.
What are we talking about then? Sorry.
8th or the 15th?
8th or the 15th.
I'm good with, I'm good with you.
I'm not sure what I got for the 8th, though.
Joshua, you got preference 8th or 15th?
With the holidays,
I would prefer the 8th. I'm traveling starting on the 15th.
There you
But just to confirm, if we're trying to do like second or fourth Wednesday, does that mean we would be doing February 12th then too? Or are we not going that far out?
No, we would start going second. We would start.
in February, though, we have to look at when the budget's due.
So we do have to just pick everyone.
So right,
Right now, we're gonna have to
we can't
kind of
really
do a holding
solidify
pattern
where we go.
for the next one.
Okay. Okay.
Because if we say the
January-
second and the budget's due on the 4th of February, then it doesn't.
It'd be fun for you.
January
Well, I
8th
do the
at
budget anyways, it
6
just, it goes to you guys, so you guys can review it.
6 PM.
So we okay with the, I guess
January 8th?
let's just try to take a little bite of this. We'll go. Is the 8th okay? Eric, you okay with the 8th?
You're
Eric,
muted.
Eric,
Yeah, that looks good for my house, actually.
you guys good? Everybody good?
Yeah.
So we'll look at 6 PM on the 8th. Are we gonna do it here?
I'm gonna have to do it remote, but I will be,
Oh, so
I will be able to do it.
oh man, I'll have to be filling the buttons you guys are.
no, I can do it.
I'm
I
not
can,
sitting
no,
here.
I can do it.
Sit next to me.
I can be able to do it
Okay.
from my house, I should.
All right, so, we're looking at, everyone okay with January 8th, 6 PM?
Yeah.
Good?
Sounds great.
And can we
Right.
say second,
Second Wednesday.
second Wednesdays, unless of course there's a reason that we
Are
have
we- Is
to,
everyone okay with that? Second Wednesday,
so
6
that way
PM?
we can all plan on that at least.
Perfect. I'm okay with that.
And then
Everyone's
be
good with that?
flexible.
Yep, okay.
Oh, no,
All
January
right,
2nd,
so I
still
guess
have nothing.
all that's left is a motion to. I have
Second.
to- in a second.
Hi.
8:46, all in favor?
Hi.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.